Direct in Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, live from the Comcast Business Studios. 97.5, The Fanatic. Now, the John Kincade Show. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Every time you think you have answers or you think you have a handle on what's going to happen in a situation, things can change. They sort of can change on a dime. They can spin on you, and you try to figure out, hey, this is what I'm expecting. This is what is going to happen. It's all about opinion. Our job's about opinion. The scouting combine, where we're here from Andrew DeCecco in a couple hours, is about opinion. It's about evaluation. And honestly, right now, it's about trust. As far as trusting that the Eagles are going to do the right thing and that they're going to be able to upgrade this roster, that they're going to be able to find answers to it, to be able to solve some of the issues that they've been having. And right now, I find it pretty easy to trust a guy like Howie Roseman. And I know that based on the track record, that's probably a bit dumb, especially when it comes to the draft, because in the draft, he has not been the best. But it's amazing to me how much trust I'll put in Howie, who has his own list of failures and his own list of missteps, whereas I'll look at a guy like Nick Sirianni, whose on-paper resume seems much stronger, and I'll doubt him. I know this, that yesterday we found out that when the players in the organization got their chance to grade the organization in a, secret poll where nobody knows who answers what, the Players Association, the Eagles got A's. The training staff got an A-, the weight room got an A-, the strength coach has got an A-, the owner got an A, and the head coach got an A. Now, I would like to note, when the head coach got an A, they were 8-1. By the time the votes came in, they were 8-1. So whether you believe that there was a collapse in the locker room or a collapse in culture or other than that, by the time the votes had to be in, the Eagles were off to an 8-1 start after a year of going to the Super Bowl and, by the way, being tied with a minute to go. So it's hard to evaluate. It made me think yesterday, and as I was sitting in traffic yesterday, Bob, in a driving rainstorm on the Schuylkill heading down to Temple last night, all I can think about is, has the reaction to Nick Sirianni and the questions about Nick Sirianni been a bit over the top? Like and I'm talking about, and I'll take ownership too, from stuff that I'll say or Pat will say or will be printed about him. Do you think it's been a bit over the top objectively when you look at least as recently as mid-November, his team loved him, his players?
Sure. Over the top and objectively. Those are kind of polar opposites, right?
Okay.
So, sure, that's what this city is. We are so over the top. That's why it's great. They'll win a game and we'll think they're going to the Super Bowl. They'll lose a game and we should fire the coach. That's in a nutshell, who we are. But, think about it. The 29 games prior when this voting came out, the Eagles were 24-5.
Which is ridiculous. That's a crazy number.
I don't know who's given anybody bad grades when you've won 24 of 29 NFL football games.
And then they'd win 2 more in a row, by the way, before it all fell apart.
Yeah, so grades, good. I wonder if you took grades from 10-1 to the end of the season, what they may have been. And players, coaches, general managers, owners, whoever you want. Maybe even the strength and conditioning coach got worse over those last 8 games or 7 games. But, you know what? Look, if you're going to break this all down, in spite of losing, 6 of 7 and going where they went, this is a good organization. We have to admit, the Eagles have a really good organization, and they've been that way for close to 30 years.
Jeffrey Lurie's tenure His
Yeah.
30th year is this year.
Yeah, I mean, have no, you're not running around with rings on like 3, 4, 5 different fingers, but they are a really good organization, and they are seemingly in contention almost on a yearly basis. And people that work there and play there generally come away with a feeling of that was a very good organization. So, good grades, especially because of the time. And yeah, it doesn't surprise you.
Pat, do you think if they took the same vote, now that was 8-1, the votes had to be in. Do you think if they took the votes at the end of the season, that the vote out of the players would have been much different on Nick Sirianni? Because we don't know. We don't know.
Imagine it wouldn't.
I would imagine it would have to be.
He's getting into it with players on the sidelines, and Big Dom is the one to kind of reel him in. Yeah, I would assume it might be a little bit different. I'm not saying it's gonna be a drastic change, but yeah, it's your mindset changes based on how things are going at work, and your mindset on your boss might change how things are going. So, yeah, I'd assume it'd be a little bit of a tick down.
Do you feel that do you feel in a way, because you and I both have pretty strong opinions on it. I didn't want him gone, but I was teetering on that fence of wanting him gone. Do you ever feel, though, when you read something like that is like as recently as mid-November, his team was lockstep? This guy's an A. This guy's as almost as good as it gets.
No, I don't think we go too far with it, but it does kind of open your eyes a little bit, because ultimately we're not in the building. We don't know what's going on. But I kind of expect that. They're 8-1 or whatever it was, and he's a rah-rah guy. So you don't really notice the what is it you do here moments when you're 8-1, and he's coming in with with a shirt with your face on it. So yeah, life's good at 8-1. The rah-rah guy's crushing it at 8-1. But when you start losing games and the rah-rah guy starts unraveling, things change.
Yeah, if the boss is walking around with a shirt with your face on, I mean, that's got to be a pretty good feeling. I mean,
yeah, that's an automatic A.
You got to feel
sure.
You got to feel like I'm giving that guy an A. I just think is all I could think is that as recently as mid-November, I would have given Nick Sirianni an A. I would have given him an A. If I had been polled at the same exact time, I would have given him an A. I would have said, yeah,
if only you had been polled.
Please. He deserves an A at that point. I would have been like, he you know what? He's earned an A. He deserves an A.
Yeah, like I said, it's hard to argue. I mean, 24 out of 29. There was no teams. You'd have to probably search a far way back to find an NFL team that had won 24 of their last 29 games, including playoffs. So, yeah, that's an A. Absolutely. Now, not knowing what he actually does and all of that, it's kind of like everything falls underneath of him. Sure, he gets the A. When, in fact, I don't know, maybe it's the underlying people around him that did an unbelievable job in order for him to get the A. I don't know. But sure, on the surface, at that time, I have no problem with that grade.
Did you read some of the objections from NFL players to their organizations? I don't know how much you read the.
No, I just read
story.
the Eagles one.
Oh God, it's great. Like, do you know that the Chargers were one team that their players complain that they have to pay $75 for 6 hours of childcare on game day. So if you drop your kid off, it's $75 for the first kid, $50 for any additional kid. And you have to pay $75 for. Where in the hell can you get babysitting 6 hours for $75?
Sounds like a steal, doesn't it?
That's a steal. And the Chargers players, who are, by the way, many of them multimillionaires, bitching about it. I don't know where they're finding babysitters, but I know Liv charges more than that, Pat. I mean, it's. I don't think you and your bride are going out going, oh, well, here are the kids, by the way, and $8, $9 an hour? Yeah.
I understand, but I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
But when other players come into the organization and they've grown accustomed to not having to deal with that,
right,
it might be an annoyance. It's like the old Seinfeld clip of like, once you go first class, you can't go back to coach. So I think if you come in as a rookie, you're like, $75 is fine. But then when you're a vet and you come from an organization where you weren't having to pay, it's that scene from Moneyball of like, wait, I have to pay for soda? Like, this is absurd.
How about one team had Chick-fil-A on the charters? Two different teams mentioned this. And they turned over the charter flight to a dietitian. And the dietitian said after games on the flights home, they don't need junk food. They need other stuff. So, no, they weren't allowed to have Chick-fil-A on their flights out. So you're flying to Denver for a road game. They would have Chick-fil-A for everybody as they got in. Grab some sandwiches, grab some fries, and the dietitians came in and said, no, you're going to have healthy meals on the planes. And players overwhelmingly complained about that and gave the organization a bad grade on it. I'm like, it's so funny that you're talking about guys on average making $2 million a year, $2.5 million a year, maybe. And they're bitching and complaining about, man, you could bring your own Chick-fil-A if you wanted, I guess. You could stick it in your bag. They made us eat healthy.
Yeah.
It's millionaires' problems.
Yeah, reminds me of a story. I was in the locker room one time after a game and got done my interviews, and one of the players was complaining about something. I said, what's up with you? He goes, we got Ruth's Chris again on the plane. We just had it the other day. And I looked at him and said, what? And at this time, some of the players kind of overheard us. I said, really? I said, I don't know what kind of peanuts. I don't know if I'm getting peanuts or one of those cookies on my plane at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. You're complaining about Ruth Chris? Yeah, it's a different world than what we live in. And we all know that.
It's first world. It is that survey is legitimately first world problems. That of just millionaires complaining that they didn't. Man, I'm telling you, they're expecting us to pay. There was another one where they had a candy and sweets and like a smoothie bar, but then they would have candies and sweets in jars that you could then pull down a lever and get it, and they took that away because the nutritionist said they shouldn't have Skittles, Pat. And I thought of you. Skittles. I think it was the Raiders or something that used to have like a Skittles thing that you just pull down on a lever, you can grab a handful of Skittles.
Yeah, it's
and
awesome.
The nutritionist said,
That's a dream.
Take that away. Joe Bell's not doing that for you, by the way. He did say he's not putting a Skittles.
Yeah, I tried in the contract.
He's not putting it in.
The contract dispute.
It didn't really work for you. So it's interesting. Nick Sirianni, well, at least in November, he got a great grade. I wonder what his grade would have been at the end of the year. If you want to get in on the conversation, you can at 610-632-0975. The 6 a.m. hour of the John Kincade Show brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White is here for the Pro. When we return, Tim McManus had some things to say about agendas. Agendas at the NFL Scouting Combine, agendas maybe in the draft, agendas in free agency. He joined the best show ever yesterday. Want to get a chance to react to it. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Quiet.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Best show ever comes your way at 2. Andrew Saltunis at 10. Stick with the Fanatic all day long. We appreciate it when you do. Flyers and Sixers will get back into action tomorrow. Sixers at home against the Hornets, who are terrible. I'm sure Kyle's gotten to see the terrible Hornets in person down there in Charlotte, Bob.
He has. He's seen them many times. Season ticket holder. It's more usually about the team that's coming in. So you got to see the Sixers a couple times. You got to see the Lakers. San Antonio he saw. So he's seen. Tomorrow's his birthday, actually. 25 years old, Kyle Cooney, tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
2-5.
Yeah.
2-5. Imagine being born today on the leap day.
Yeah, right?
You know, it's
If you're 100.
Simone
You're
Gagne.
celebrating your 25th birthday.
Simone Gagne is?
He was a leap year kid.
It was Lindros's birthday yesterday. So he's a 28th. So leap year, I don't know. There's got to be something magical about that. Getting born on a day that only comes around every 4 years.
Yeah.
Is
Is it a lifetime of luck?
I would think it's pretty lucky. I would think it is. It depends on how superstitious you are, I guess. What we talked about the trust factor and the agenda factor and everything as it goes into where we'll talk to Andrew DiCecco live from Indianapolis coming up today at 8 a.m. on the NFL Scouting Combine. The idea of what are the Eagles going to do to try to jumpstart this recovery of the franchise. And Tim McManus joined the best show ever yesterday. And he had an idea about one of the questions he was asked is, could they try to get younger at corner with a first-round pick?
I do feel like the situation is right there for them to go after cornerback position. We know that both of their starting corners from last year are north of 30 years old. We saw the dramatic drop-off from James Bradbury. And while there's a couple intriguing younger cornerbacks on the roster like Keely Ringo, obviously they need to fill that in a pretty urgent way in order for Vic Fangio's defense, to operate at a high level. So I do think it's possible. Like if somebody like, Quinion Mitchell, the cornerback from Toledo, were to drop into that range, would they consider it? You would have to think they would consider it.
I would think a playmaker at corner or just a physical, more, I would say with a Vic Fangio system, a physical corner would be something that he'd be more looking for if they can find it. I don't know whether that's going to be or not. I just don't. When you talk about Bradbury and Slay, I think I'm going to be a little less optimistic if they try to convince me, yeah, we're going next year with the same of what we went this year.
I can't imagine.
It's a lot.
Totally cannot imagine it. No, there has to be a different philosophy. There has to be so many differences on that defensive side of the ball, and hopefully, with Vic Fangio, maybe with a new corner or two. Yeah, you're seeing something different than corners fading out of your TV screen as the ball's about to be snapped. That gets really tiresome. It gets really predictable. We talked about it all the time. How many times do we see safeties? Forget it. You never see them in your screen because they're backing up as far as they can go on the field over the last year or two. But corners, are we going to get some press coverage? Do you see physicality? A good tackler? Those are things that we just haven't seen here from the corners in a while. Those things. Look, Slay and Bradbury had really good years 2 years ago. So we're not going to deny that. But I don't think even then when they were playing well that we put them in the good physical category. It was, a bend, don't break defense, and it worked out well for the Eagles that year.
So L'Jarius Sneed, the cornerback of the Chiefs, who wants to be paid a king's ransom, has been given a permission to seek a trade. He wants to be paid top of the market. He's been quoted 3 different times of pay me. Pay me. So he wants to get paid top of the market.
Are they going to tag him? I saw a story that said they were going to tag him.
But they can still trade him.
Yeah, right,
They can still do that trade. To me, I would rather use one of the first 3 draft picks on a corner that you've got in the first and second rounds. I would rather use one of them on a corner than trade a draft pick and then pay top of market for L'Jarius Sneed. He's a hell of a player, but to me, the good organizations don't make that move. I don't believe you. I believe that would be first of all, it's going to take a chunk of your cap. It's going to be a significant move. And I just don't think that's what a good organization is going to do. This organization is going to have to be rebuilt to me on draft night and the 3 days of the draft. It's going to have to be done with draft picks. Pat, I don't know how you fall on Snead, but I'd rather draft a corner in the first 3 picks, either one of the 2 second-round picks or the first-round pick, than I would trade probably a second-round pick or something like that in order to get Snead away from the Chiefs and then have to pay him top of market.
Yeah, I don't want Snead.
Is there something about his game?
No, it's nothing about that. It's just about the amount of money that you'd have to give him, where I want to put that money elsewhere. You already have Darius Slay. James Bradbury's locked up, although, he didn't look good last year. I have more confidence in Slay bouncing back than Bradbury. I don't think Slay had necessarily a bad year last year, but
no, I didn't think he did either.
I think both of them will look better in a Vic Fangio defense. I think last year's defense was just so putrid, but I think that both of them will look competent. It's just a matter of how much will the drop-off happen. L'Jarius Sneed's one of the best in the league, no doubt, but this team needs more than him. I mean, this team needs linebackers. They need defensive end depth. They need probably another starting defensive end they can rotate in, because last year was the first year they didn't do a rotation at all. Safety, I just don't look at cornerback necessarily as man, that is a pressing need where I'm going to be giving a ton of guaranteed money to and have a big cap hit. So that's why I don't want him, but I probably would be clamoring for him had they not had Darius Slay. If it was a situation of just James Bradbury and Keely Ringo or Keely Ringo and Josh Jobe, I'd be trade for him. But
I gotta say, Pat, I think I'm 100% in with you. I don't want to spend all that money on one position either. And just looking at a mock draft real quick a couple of minutes ago, there's projected 5 corners to go in the first round.
First round.
5. So there's an abundance of cornerbacks out there that people like enough to slot them in the first round. So. Tim McManus mentioned one. You got the McKinstry kid, Kool-Aid, another one that's hovering around that area where the Eagles pick. So if that's what they set their sights on, there's a lot of them there. So you can go after it even with your first pick if you so choose.
Then the first round target. What could it potentially be? Tim McManus shared this with the best show ever.
Seems to me like the 3 positions that will be going around that time is offensive tackle, edge rusher, corner. And so that kind of fits in to how the Eagles operate with the offensive defensive lines. Needs, certainly, when we're talking about corners, and definitely edge rush if Hassan Reddick, in fact, moves on. Those seem to be the 3 in my mind, at least right now. It's okay, that makes a lot of sense that they would spend that first-round pick on one of those 3 positions.
I think I'm going to be on an island here. That if with Tim putting in their offensive lineman, if they decided to do something that Pat's been predicting, I think, for a couple years, you got to go spend a high pick to be able to get Lane Johnson's eventual replacement. I would be totally fine with it. And I don't think a lot of people would be, considering the needs on defense. I think there'd be a lot of people that would say, no, you can't. Not now with the state of this defense. But investing long-term in the offensive line and the way they evaluate offensive linemen, they do a pretty good job. And then making sure that your $250 million quarterback is protected, to me, seems like a pretty strong strategy. I think I would be on an island with that people would not be happy if they say they're drafting a right tackle of the future with the first-round pick.
Yeah, look, the business model of it is probably a good one, right? But we're not about the business as fans. We're about the what do you got for me now?
Yes.
Win now. Yeah, an investment like that, probably good. Look at your needs, and Tim mentioned at that spot, offensive tackles. Okay, maybe that's not going to excite anybody. You can find a tackle later on, but I could be wrong. Maybe there is such a big difference between first rounders and a second or third round guy. Although they've done well with their offensive line picks. You have a guy in Jeff Statlin. I think you talked about trust earlier, John. I don't know if there's any coach that garners as much trust from a fan base on this staff than Jeff Statlin, right?
No,
so
absolutely.
If anybody's going to pick an offensive lineman in the second or third round that you feel comfortable about, I would feel comfortable with him making that decision. That being said, also looking at the mock drafts, there's not one linebacker. There's edges and maybe guys that'll, label as not one in the mock drafts that I've looked at is out there to be projected to be had. So linebacker's going to have to be gotten down the line also.
And you got 2 second-round picks, so you absolutely could.
Yeah. So I'm thinking corner. I would go corner. I hear you with the offensive line, and yes, business decision, great. You just spent $250 million on your quarterback. That money goes out the window if he's not healthy. So I would understand offensive linemen. But again, it's a future pick for, I think, a win-now team. I think I'd go corner. I really do think I would.
I'm telling you to look at this date, March 13th. That was the date last year before free agency began when we got the official word and everybody saw the video of Howie and Jason Kelce toasting each other to Vegas.
Yeah.
To Vegas. That's when we found out the decision last year that Jason Kelce was coming back. So before free agency, Howie knew the numbers, that it was there. They had that pre-recorded video that was released, so it had already been done. And they said, to Vegas, to Vegas. And then they knew what they would do. It got me thinking yesterday, though. So Howie finds out before free agency that he's accounting $15 million to Jason Kelce. And then what happened? 2 safeties left and 2 linebackers left. Money you didn't have to pay people. Money you didn't have that if he had gone, you would have not. I believe the defense would have looked a lot differently last year. You would have had. They did not even make an offer to T.J. Edwards. Not even an offer. Didn't talk to him, according to Clay Harbor. There was no discussion. It was like, well, TJ's found in a deal because the Eagles didn't reach out. They let 2 safeties walk, which left you exposed there. And I can't think of the timing any better that within 1 week, they lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson, they lost Epps, they lost T.J. Edwards, and they lost another linebacker that I'm trying to think of who else walked that they didn't care about. That Kaiser White, the tacking machine, who didn't really he wasn't an impact linebacker, but he was a hell of a lot better than what we saw this year. And to me, there were 4 moves that all could have potentially been covered. Almost 3 of them could have been covered within what you paid Jason Kelce. And within a week, they were gone. Jason Kelce's back, and we're all celebrating. And 3 guys walked, and what they got paid, you could have had all 3 of those players this year. Yeah. 3 of the 4.
I don't even paying Kelce. I didn't think money was a problem. I mean, C.J. Gardner-Johnson got what? Pat, you're
8.
great at contracts.
I think he got 8.
It was like $1 million. It was like 1 year for 8 mil.
Yeah,
8 or 9.
I mean, that's not T.J. Edwards. They could have gotten, and everybody talked about it after they even signed Kelce. Like they could have afforded him, but they didn't even make an offer to him. So I don't know if the Kelce move prohibited them or made them make those other moves. I think those other moves were made at the time because the timing was they had to do it then. If it did, then it could have been a mistake. But you also signed somebody that, again, is one of the best at their position. I don't know if, adding those other guys up equates to a guy that's the best at his position.
So 2 weeks left. So we're around 2 weeks to free agency. So today. So if you're talking about 2 weeks to free agency, does that in any way, seeing what happened last year, whether it's a correlation or not, does it in any way affect you as far as wanting Kelce back? When you know how much work has to be done on the defense, does it matter to you that accounting, I would imagine he's not coming back at a price cut. So I'm just going to use the same $15 million. Let's say it goes with the salary cap going up. He's probably going to want more. So let's say $16 million. Would you rather see the $16 million allotted on the defensive side of the ball to have that freedom, or to contract extensions and things like that, so you have other flexibility, or do you want one more year of the Jason Kelce retirement tour? And
Both.
I know you do.
Like Howie's great at money. We all know that. He's good at money. We never have a problem. You go into a season, oh my God, they're $30 million over the cap. And then the next thing you know, after a couple of restructures, wow, they have money to spend. They're $15 million under. I don't know how he does it. I don't think it's ever been a problem. I've never. Have we seen stories that the reason they didn't sign was directly correlated to the money they gave to
I just
Kelsey?
looked at it.
So
No, I looked at it yesterday though as it's absolutely you could make a thing that there was if they didn't have
yeah, but
that.
it would have been made, right? Like somebody would have written that. Somebody would have said, "Yeah, you know what? They didn't sign those guys because they didn't have the money, too." I took it more as they didn't sign them because they didn't. For some reason, in the case of T.J. Edwards, I thought it seemed like they were like, "Yeah, go ahead. You want to go back home? Okay, see you, buddy."
Yeah, they didn't even talk to him.
No, so that's odd. So there, to me, there seems to be something maybe a little more there with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That his agent played things out strangely. So I don't know if they're directly related or not. Your point is a good one.
I mean, 15 million is the money doesn't disappear. Howie would have had it to spend. I don't believe Epps, like he was surprised. There was written, they were surprised by the Epps departure, that he just bolted out the door. And then you lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They didn't expect to lose both of them. And then you let two linebackers walk out the door, and you could have had 3 of the 4 of them for Kelsey's money. I just look.
I don't look at it like they chose one over the other. I don't look at it like it was like, all right, Jason's coming back, so we can't do T.J. Edwards. Like I think that was a problem with their organizational philosophy, and they easily could have called up T.J. Edwards' agent during the season and been like, all right, man, let's get a deal done. Because they've done that before in the past with younger players. And they didn't. They showed zero interest. And because they showed zero interest, and they never even gave him a contract offer. I mean, they could have backloaded a contract. They could have guaranteed. There was ways around that. They got arrogant. And they thought, you know what, we found you. We'll find somebody else. We'll be all right. And then they weren't. And I think that's what it was. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's a little bit different. And I think they just chose James Bradbury over C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think that was a mistake. But I can't go like, oh, because Kelsey came back, that prohibited you from doing, this, that, and the third. I think that there's a chance they might be doing it now, and they might have done it then. They might be going into the day going like, all right, let's game plan for him coming back. How will we maneuver the cap? Let's game plan for just assuming he comes back, assuming that the money is what it was last year. What are we going to do? And I think they'd rather have him back than not.
We keep forgetting in all this, and John, you bring it up every once in a while, but it does keep floating out of our minds. Isaiah Rodgers. That could be a starting corner for me.
It could be.
They could be like, yeah, this guy without a doubt is starting next to Slay, and that's what we have in our minds, and that's the reason we picked him up. I don't know, but I do. I keep forgetting that this guy is on that roster.
He's stashed away. It's Isaiah Rodgers making it like he's an impact player.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's how they feel.
He isn't. I mean, he isn't. He hasn't. Well, let's with this. He hasn't been that kind of player. And also, too, Isaiah Rodgers, you're talking about a guy who is you don't know what you get. And I believe if they thought that was the case, Howie would be talking about him.
No. Why would you do that?
Because he's on his roster. Because he's there.
The less people talk about my players, the better.
Hey, Frank joins us. Frank, good morning. You're on The Fanatic. How are you, buddy?
Good morning, fellas. John, come on, man. This is 2 days in a row that you want to get rid of Kelsey.
No, I'm saying to you is that I'm just saying to you right now, I'm tired. Frank, I'm tired of the non-commitment.
Whatever he wants. He's the best center in football. It's not even close. And he helps Hurts read that defense. He is the man that keeps that motor going.
Okay.
If we don't have Kelsey, Hurts is a mediocre quarterback in the NFL. I'm sorry, but that's the truth.
So you think a center makes the quarterback what he is?
No, Jason Kelsey, that center, makes Jalen Hurts good. Yes, makes him go.
No, I think he's good. Sure, Frank, of course Jason Kelsey makes him good.
No other center does what Kelsey does, man.
But you've drafted his replacement 2 years ago.
I don't care. Jurgens ain't ready to do what Kelsey does all over that field. Kelsey is the best center in football, John. It's not even close.
Frank, do you remember Kelsey's early career?
Yes. And
he wasn't Kelsey. He became Kelsey.
Remember his past 10 years?
Yeah, but
Frank, the best in the league?
Frank, I understand, but he became Kelsey by playing. And that's the thing is, he became Jason Kelsey. And in the beginning of his career, there was a time where they almost traded him. They almost traded him away for a third-day draft pick.
Well, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, they did. There was almost a trade.
I don't
I
remember
believe
that.
it was, I'm not sure if it was the Saints or something like that were interested. They almost parted ways in his career. This is not, Jason Kelsey didn't come out as like, put him in the lineup, and he was all of a sudden this huge impact player that everybody said, man, we got the best center in football. He learned by playing. I mean, when you draft a guy and you draft a guy high and you draft a guy at the recommendation 2 years ago of the greatest center you ever had in your organization, I'm okay with saying it's time to trust that this is the guy, especially when you have needs. Look, the $15 million can be spent on the defensive side of the ball. I'm putting the question to you, and I said it won't be popular. I said it to Bob when I said it. It won't be popular, but I guarantee you, you'd have a better chance of having a really good defense if you let those draft picks step in and then you improved and you spent the money on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to one of the beats, and maybe we'll ask Andrew when he comes on later, like how the money correlates that way. Like
Sure.
how much of a $15 million one-year contract to Jason Kelsey, how much would that hurt, if at all, the Eagles from spending elsewhere? He might have an answer like, oh, no. It's like, you guys spending $1. If you have 100 in your pocket, it doesn't make that much of a difference. I don't know. Like I said, if signing Jason Kelsey prohibited them from signing the other players that you mentioned earlier, well, then, yeah, that's a problem. But the fact that I didn't see any stories that it was correlated makes me wonder why not. I understand what you're saying.
Well, 1 + 1 is 2. It correlated in some way. There was $15 million. You had a player on the roster who you drafted to replace Jason Kelsey. That money was there.
Yeah, but I
to be
mean,
spent, but they could have spent it elsewhere. If they didn't spend it on Kelsey,
all
it's
right,
1 + 1 is 2. They would have done elsewhere.
If we were to ask DeCecco or McLean and say, hey, look, even though the Eagles signed Kelsey last year, could they have signed T.J. Edwards, and C.J.? And he says, yeah, without a doubt. They just chose not to. Well, then the two aren't related.
But the $15 million doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away, but they could have afforded it. So what difference does it make? Like, that's the question that needs to be answered. Did Jason Kelsey's contract last year prohibit them from signing somebody else?
And more, well, I mean, it's simple math, though. The money doesn't disappear.
Really?
If
I walk around and watch GMs carry booklets that are this thick that says CBA 101. You think it's that simple?
But at some point, you spend the $15 million.
You're relating it. Like, all right, if the answer comes back, yeah, they could have afforded it easily, then what's your argument?
No,
There is none.
No, but they could say, but what you'd be doing is you'd be kicking the can down the road. You'd be saying, but the thing is, the $15 million gets spent one way or another. It gets spent that year. You overload that year, and it kills you in future years. The $15 million.
I don't know if 15 will ever kill you in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, what is it now, Pat? 250.
5.4.
Okay, 255. Yeah, $15 million doesn't seem like as much when you're talking about one of the highest paid players in your roster, though. I mean, that's the kind of money that it could get you It can get you younger talent or otherwise. Look, it's not popular. Everybody wants – and I'll say it again, and I believe it, there's no city that loves nostalgia better than this.
Oh, and my argument is – and I'm not arguing. I'm just –
No, I get it.
But it has nothing to do with Jason Kelsey. I'm not even talking about the player, the guy, whatever. I'm just talking about that allotted money.
And the talent.
And the talent. And if it prohibited you from doing something else. I don't know that answer, and I've never seen it laid out that it did.
Bob's looking at a question of when do you make the decision to pull the plug? I'm never having him handle my living, Will. John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers, Flyers, both off. I'm Pat Egan. The Sports Update is brought to you by the BetParks app. When you open the BetParks app, you're in the zone. Another chance to win.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. The John Kincade Show with Bob Cooney and Pat Egan continues. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Just going to make a suggestion to you that if you ever decide to have one of those living wills and the question arises like, when do you want somebody to be able to pull the plug? I wouldn't put Cooney on the – I'm not putting Cooney in that responsibility because I think he may have an itchy trigger finger, Pat, as I'm looking at his notes for the show today.
I think he's about that business. Like, he's just like, look, let's not prolong this. Let's just –
when it's time, it's time.
Yeah, I mean, no.
When it's time to pull the plug.
Yeah.
What's the
point? I did get that phone call one time that said, hey, we're just waiting for you.
Oh,
and I said, yeah, I'll be there in a little bit. Yeah, it's not fun.
No, that's not fun.
That was about a year ago. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I mean, it's like, no.
Yeah, but
what do you pull
this
the plug on, though?
I'm talking about is, and I'm not saying this lightly. I really am asking this more of a question, and I'd love to hear people chime in on it. I don't ever want to give up. You don't ever want to give up on a season, on anything that you're doing. That's the way most of us are built. But at some times, for the betterment of a decision, it is time to move on, right?
Okay.
Are the
you talking about
Sixers
Jason?
getting
Oh,
close?
I thought you were talking about Jason Kelce.
No, are the Sixers getting close to that with Joel Embiid with the way this team is playing now? I mean, I don't know how you do it. I don't know if you start looking at younger players like Pat has been an advocate for a long time. Do you let the Tobias Harrises and the Buddy Hields and the Tyrese Maxeys know, okay, yeah, he's not going to come back. So, just take care of yourself out there. It sounds horrible. It doesn't sound right. But at some point, should upper management start looking to the future more instead of now?
I believe when I heard Kendrick Perkins make the case the other day, I started to think about it. But I don't know that you can make that message to this fan base in this town. Because I hear Stephen A. Smith was very passionate about it on Sunday's pregame show before the Sixers and the Bucks game. He said, I don't know when Joel Embiid's ever going to be healthy come April. He said, so if doctor tells me he can play in late March, I'm ramping him up and I'm rolling him out.
And I hear that, and I don't disagree with it.
He says that you got to do it. He goes, because you don't know how many more years he's going to be. Right. I mean, the only thing is, if they shut Bob, I think the Sixers take a lot of black eyes as an organization at times for different things. And I don't know that it's something that they would really recover from PR-wise.
Yeah, I mean, it's not – you're not going to come out publicly and be like, yep, that's it. We're done with the season. We see we're not good enough without Joel, and Joel's not going to come back. And we don't want to put him in that position of trying to win a play-in game or two in order just to make the playoffs. So, no, we're calling it a season. This week's going to be interesting because, as TNT reported yesterday, they're going to give an update next week. And we're going to find out exactly where his rehabilitation is. And Pat's already written the release, and he very well could be true, that he will be reevaluated in a couple more weeks, and he's ramping up whatever on-court, stuff that he's doing, if he's doing anything, because we haven't heard anything about that, which isn't odd for a Sixers injury.
No, it's not. Isn't that the norm?
Yeah, the PR people at the time would get pissed off that Brett Brown would be so honest with us. We'd go to them and say, what's going on? Oh, nothing to report here. He's still just recovering. And Brett would come out. Yeah, he was on the court for 25 minutes yesterday after everybody left. And you'd see the PR people just shrink. So it's not odd for them not to give updates. And in their defense, maybe there's no update to give. They're not going to come out and say, yeah, Joel had a turkey sandwich today and walked on the treadmill for 10 minutes. That's not what anybody wants to hear. So I wonder where they are on all of this.
I don't think they would. How about this? I don't think they would do it.
Put it here real quick. Do you think they would be more apt to do how Stephen A. Smith laid it out, or more to be cautious with Joel Embiid?
Stephen A. Smith.
Get as much out of him as you can.
I think they're feeling the clock ticking. I really do. I think they're feeling the clock ticking. Pat, what do you think on this? I mean, it's like, would you be pissed if they did it?
I would not be pissed if they did it. This ain't the year. It's hard. It's hard to accept it. It's
This
not
is
the
a
year.
practical side of you that I don't, as a fan, honestly I don't
sucks.
see a lot.
Yeah, it sucks. And this is one of the reasons I said they should sell at the deadline. Like, take your Sixers sunglasses off and step back and do 100-foot view of the situation and tell me a team that loses not only their best player, but arguably the best player in the league. Tell me a team that does that with an injury like that and goes, oh, yeah, we're good. Like, you're not going to think that they're going to return to form. If it was a broken bone, it's one thing. Like, this is ligament damage in his knee. Stuff he's dealt with before. It's no. Like, he's not returning to the 35, 40-point Joel Embiid. If he does return, it's probably on a minutes restriction. If he returns, what kind of Embiid is he getting? If he returns, is he in shape?
That would be my worst-case scenario, Pat, if he comes back and we see him grabbing the knee, limping.
This is the bubble all over again. Now, the bubble was different in the sense of, like, they were healthy. They had checked out on Brett. But the convincing that we're doing as Sixers fans of, like, well, if this breaks right and he comes back, we did this already. We did it with the bubble. It was like we convinced ourselves that break with COVID, all of a sudden they were going to figure it out. And all. They didn't. They got swept. They got hammered. So, like, we just have to accept it's not the year. There's nothing wrong with that. It sucks. It's a cold reality, but this ain't the year.
Okay, now just remember, and I pointed it out too, is that they've only had this play-in tournament 2 years. And both years we've seen a team from the play-in tournament, one go to the Western Conference Finals, one go to the NBA Finals. So it's not like the play-in tournament is some early on. It's sort of like the Phillies and the Arizona Diamondbacks the last 2 years. The last team to get in the playoffs in the National League has been the team that goes to the World Series. The 6th seed is the team that goes to the World Series. Not saying it's going to happen again, Pat, but it's like it's not a death knell to be in the play-in tournament.
I'm not saying it's a death knell. It's just even if you're in the play-in tournament, like, this team is not built to survive a Joel Embiid at 75, 80%.
Yep.
And I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope that we're talking about a long run, but I don't see it. I just don't see how this team gets over the loss of Joel Embiid, and the organization has to be very careful because he is the crown jewel. So I firmly expect the report that we talked about yesterday, to come out next week of, Joel Embiid continues to ramp up towards return. He will be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks.
That would be kind of damning.
Hey, Don joins us. Don, good morning. You're on the Fanatic. Hi, Don. Don going once. Don, sorry, Don. Sorry, buddy.
Well, if that comes out the way you laid it out, Pat, and we get on, say, Monday or Tuesday of next week, 2 or 3 more weeks, that takes you towards the end of March with the regular season over April 14th. The first question you have to ask is, what do you mean by reevaluate? Does he work? Is he working in these 2 or 3 weeks before you give the evaluation on the floor? Is there, stuff going on, basketball activities during that time? Or are you checking how his knee is to get to that point in 2 or 3 weeks?
I don't think they're going to give you any of that information. I think it's going to be a typical Sixers vague. He's just ramping back up.
But that's got to be the question.
But and you're right, it does. But because we all know that we probably won't get that answer.
If we get 2 or 3 weeks, Pat, if we get what you said, to me, that's I get my red marker out and I just
and it's over.
And I exit.
Then it's over.
Because in 3 weeks, now you're saying, if I'm reading this right, okay, you're saying in 3 weeks you're going to reevaluate to see if he can get on the court. So you're talking end of March. It's going to take weeks for him to get himself basketball ready. I'm assuming from my past, experience with injuries with the team. So now you're talking mid-April. That's when playoffs start. So are you just going to throw him out there for his first game action, I don't know, middle of the playoffs, beginning of the playoffs?
That's ridiculous.
I don't know. Yeah. So this Tuesday's going to, I don't know the specific day, but Monday or Tuesday, it's going to be very telling, I think.
Yesterday, as we begin this hour of the show, the subject of Hassan Reddick became bigger and stronger and more front and center because of the fact that people were reacting to what Howie Roseman and even Nick Sirianni had to say the day before. And yesterday, Andrew Salchunas was able to catch up with the talented Jeff McClain, one of my favorite podcasts out there. And he talked to Jeff about the fact is Reddick staying or going?
I'm like 50-50 on it because I feel like, this is a guy who's given them the freedom to seek a trade. And as I reported in the story, teams have reached out to the Eagles. They've had conversations or they've at least fielded calls for Reddick, which is no surprise. And then I think that's why, the market's going to dictate ultimately whether, Hassan stays or goes. If he gets close to the price that he wants to be paid, because that's a part of this equation here, it's like he wants a new deal. He's got 1 year left in his deal, but he wants a contract that reflects what he thinks is his value. If he can get that on the open market and the Eagles don't think that number is right for them, then he's going to walk. And on top of that, they have to get draft compensation in return. So that's a whole part of the negotiations here. But I also feel like the Eagles don't really have an obvious answer if he does walk away.
Reddick's team, by the way, also reportedly knows what the Eagles are going to look for in draft compensation when they're shopping.
What do you think it is?
Third round.
Is that good enough, Pat?
No.
No, but I mean, Pat, do you
But
think?
I think John's right. I think it's about a third round pick.
I think it's around
a
a third round pick.
A third and like a sixth.
Maybe a third and a sixth. Yeah, something like that. A third round pick and then a third day pick.
Yeah, conditional, blah, blah, blah. I think whatever the return would be, we'd go. Really?
It wouldn't be.
That's not, no.
For what someone's going to have to pay Hassan Reddick, the draft compensation that they're going to get in return is not going to be high. Because he's obviously asking for something that the Eagles said, no, are you kidding me?
Well,
scoffed at.
God, what are they looking at then on the edge rusher side of the ball? Josh Sweat and what? What is behind that?
Well, they could be
Nolan
looking at
Smith?
They could be looking at a free agent.
Yeah, and it's coming
signing.
out. Yeah, okay, but then
I got you. I agree with you. I don't think that it's a smart strategy, but But I also don't want to. I am not in the business as a fan of saying to my team, like Don, not Don, I forget who called earlier, I'm sorry about that said, pay Jason Kelsey whatever he wants. Bull crap. I don't want that fan ever to be my GM. I do not want a team that just goes, well, pay a guy whatever he wants.
Yeah.
He's a legacy guy. He's this. No. No nostalgia. Pay a guy what he should be able to demand on the open market. And right now, Hassan Reddick's finding out what the open market is.
Yeah,
he's finding out what people are willing to pay him.
This defense needs so much as currently constructed.
It
so
does.
much. And now you're going to lose maybe your best player on it. That's bad. We talked about it last year when he was dropping Hassan Reddick back into coverage, and we're saying, like, wait a second, you're coming into a situation that is horrible. The defense is playing horrible. The best player that does one thing on your defense, and you're taking that away from them also, and now they're at the threat of losing that.
Pat,
I just had a feel. Sorry, John. I just had a feeling that Reddick was coming back. I thought it was a business decision. I understand it. You'll sign him, and that still may happen. But the deeper that this goes, and hearing the Jeff McClains and others speak of
50-50.
Yeah, I heard somebody else on one of the shows saying, yeah, I think he's played his last game for the Eagles. Man, this defense is in trouble.
I look at it, Pat, though, as something, and I put it in my notes about, you've talked about the fact is if Reddick walks away, you believe it's going to come down to this was an organizational decision to move on.
Yeah,
and the more
really
I hear this, you might be right.
I don't. This to me might be T.J. Edwards last year, where this organization might go, you know what, we found you, and not necessarily they found Reddick, like he was a known commodity at that point. But he was coming off 2 years in Arizona and Carolina. But the deal that he signed with the Eagles was pretty team friendly, and it was like, hey, we found that, and we got a value there. You know, we can do it again, and I think that's probably been Howie's biggest Achilles heel is the idea of, like, I can do it again. I can find this guy, an undrafted free agent. I can find this linebacker. I can find this defensive end. Players like Hassan Reddick don't come around very often, and we haven't seen his ability to get to the quarterback since Reggie White in an Eagles uniform. I'm all ears. I mean, and I'm not comparing him to the greatest sack guy of all.
I get you.
But, like, in terms of a guy in an Eagles uniform that is consistently able to get to the quarterback, we haven't seen that since probably Reggie. And the idea of, like, would rather have a third-round pick than get a contract done where you know that this organization has been able to do contracts that don't cripple a team. And the Jalen Hurts contract is proof positive of that. I mean, that dude's cap hit is insanely low for a franchise quarterback. So I look at it like, look, you might haggle over the money and all that, but at the end of the day, if you wanted to have him in an Eagles uniform, you'd do it. You'd go to the GM, or you go to the owner. He'd cut the check for the guaranteed money. Your cap hit would be low. It's the thing that you've done your entire career, Howie. So if you don't do it, it was you going, you know what, we can move on. We can find another Hassan Reddick. I'd rather have the draft pick. And I think that's a huge mistake because it's an area where they just haven't supplemented it. Like they haven't gotten younger. They don't have a contingency plan. The offensive line, if you want to move on from Jason Kelce, you go, okay, fine, there's an argument there. You have a contingency plan. They don't have one for Hassan Reddick. I mean, last year, who by all means, who's your backup defensive ends? Hard pressed to name them.
Tim McManus joined the best show ever on the same topic yesterday, and here's what he had to say about whether is Reddick coming back or not.
He signaled that Devontae Smith, somebody that they drafted, somebody they really liked from a production standpoint as a locker room guy, and the phrasing was different when it came to Hassan Reddick. Praise him for the things that he's done. He's been very productive in his seasons here in Philadelphia, but he also mixed in, we're always looking for this year and what's best for the future. And that was in part of that response about Reddick. So there's no doubt that they have an eye on the big picture here when it comes to financials and how Reddick fits in there. And we also know that they have granted the Reddick camp permission to go out and look for a trade. There's reports coming out of the combine that there's interest. And, Roseman also was talking pretty highly about Nolan Smith and the importance of getting young players like Smith more opportunities. So I think if you put that all together, it certainly wasn't a signal that suggested he's definitely coming back.
I don't feel any more comforted listening to McClain and McManus. I don't feel, because I don't know. I don't think anybody's got a handle on it. And I think the reason why is we do not know when Hassan Reddick's team is making calls, what he's going to demand on the open market. And I do not believe that he is going to find $28 million. Like, I don't believe he's going to get in that market. I just don't. I think there's a reason the Eagles got Hassan Reddick for $45 million for 3 years, back a few years ago. I think there's a reason that people are going like, yeah, okay, he's got a skill set. But I also wonder if he fits necessarily what Vic Fangio wants to do. And maybe they're giving – I don't agree with it necessarily, but I don't want to just give him a blank check either.
Well, what if they're just doing this? Yeah, go ahead. You can look for other trades. He comes back and says – or they come back and say, okay, we have this. This team will sign us for that. And the Eagles say, you know what? No. We're keeping you this year.
Well, I don't think
What about a disgruntled Hassan Reddick playing for the Philadelphia Eagles this year under one year remaining contract?
I do not believe the Eagles would ever do dirty pool like that. Like, reportedly, Reddick's teams, that when teams are there, because it came up in the Snead story yesterday, I saw it being covered with NFL Live. And in the L'Jarius Snead story, they said when teams allow guys to shop a trade partner, they are given a idea of what the Chiefs are looking for in draft compensation. So I believe that would be the same way the Eagles would do business.
Okay.
And I don't think that if Hassan Reddick goes and finds somebody willing to pay him, and then the Eagles go, oh, well, we told you a third-round pick. We're not taking a third-round pick. I think that would be bad business in the NFL that would not reflect well in the organization, and they tend to have a great reputation around the league.
Yeah, they do have in their back pocket though. You're under contract.
And they do. They absolutely do.
So
which is different than the Snead thing.
And exactly. And who knows if it wasn't Hassan Reddick's team that went to the Eagles and said, hey, we're gonna look and see what we're worth out on the open market. Are you guys cool with that? And the Eagles said, sure.
Sure.
And then it comes out, the Eagles have granted him permission to look at other teams. And then it comes out, Hassan Reddick says, I want to stay here. I really do. I love it here. But, I also need to get paid. So maybe the Eagles are just sitting back with their feet up on the desk
That's
saying,
how I've thought all along.
He's under contract.
I felt this way all along, that they're saying, go shop. And what you think you're going to get, I don't think you're going to get.
Has he outperformed his contract?
No questions asked.
Yeah.
I mean, Pat, I would think the $30 million you've paid him over 2 years, he could easily have given you $40 million in value. He could easily have given you $45 million in value.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's definitely outperformed it, and this will probably be like his last big contract, so I don't blame him for wanting to cash in because he's kind of been, I don't want to say disrespected in the NFL, but like he's a first-round pick. He's misused for 4 years in Arizona. Finally busts out his last year. Carolina deal wasn't great. The Philly deal was better, but it still wasn't probably what he earned after the 2 years. So now he's trying to get his value. I don't blame him for that at all.
Well, we're 2 weeks away from free agency. And we're, around a month away from opening day? Pat wants to do a little, check of the pulse. We'll get to that coming up. Thanks for hanging out with us. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic.
Fanatic.com.
Just heard, Pat, there's cupcakes in the building. I was telling Bob.
Yeah, I'm a little upset that I haven't
We're going to wander over.
gotten a text or anything. You know, it's like,
Well, somebody came down and told us.
well, someone came and
in
told you.
person. No, well, they told Haley
because we were on the air.
Yeah, we were working.
I mean, you can interrupt that. Like,
They get these breaks
We'll
where
go
they
to-
can wander the building for like 15, 20 minutes.
look, they play Stairway to Heaven, and they go on a walkabout.
Are you kidding?
Cupcakes and cookie cake. All for Leap Day. So, Andrew DeCecco joins us at 8 o'clock, live from the Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. So, if you get a chance to hang out with us all morning long, we appreciate it. The 7 a.m. hour brought to you by the Bet Parks app. I love the Bet Parks app. I tell you about it all the time. Sportsbook and casino in a sleek, easy-to-use app. Take it with you, the Bet Parks app. Got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. So we're getting close to free agency, and we are today 4 weeks from opening day. Pat doesn't want to hear that, but you are thinking about it. I mean, 4 weeks to opening day today.
Yeah.
And we saw the Phillies and the Braves, who are going to, be battling this year in the National League East, hopefully all the way to the finish line. And they tied yesterday 7-7. I hate the stupid ties. But I understand. It's spring training. It doesn't matter, but I just hate the ties. So, Pat, you got the finger on the pulse of the fan base, or is it your pulse?
Well, no, it's
you're
not. I
checking
don't have
on
a
this?
pulse. I'm dead inside.
Is that why you're so pale? You got that beautiful pale
no,
skin.
I think it's because the two places I like being the most are a movie theater and an ice rink.
That's
so,
probably what it is. That could be it.
Keep the sun out. I was thinking about this, though, because I'm not a spring training guy. I'm pretty much on record with that. But the Phillies season is quickly approaching, and a lot of people are pumped up about it.
Oh, yeah.
And expectations are super high for it. But then you've got the Eagles, which is in a weird state of flux, because every time a story comes out, it seems like we don't feel better about what happened. We feel probably worse. But you've got free agency coming up, and you've got decisions on Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox. And then after that, you've got the draft, and you got to get prepared for that. And they do have 3 picks in the top, 54, 55.
Sure.
So, which one are you looking more forward to? Opening day in a month, or NFL free agency starting in about 2 weeks?
Get me 4 weeks from today.
Really?
I'll take a draft beer. I don't eat at the ballpark much, but I may have like a pretzel. And give me a nice 70-degree day, and get me to Phillies opening day against the Braves. I'm so pumped for the 2024 Phillies, and I do believe they are in such a great position to potentially deliver us something special. And again, I'm this close to, and I got to stop being wussy boy on this. I'm this close to saying they're going to win the National League East. I'm honestly
just put it on the table. Say it with your chest.
I think I'm gonna contemplate it when I'm laying on a beach and think about it. But I think I'm ready to say it. I'm getting there. So it's absolutely, Pat, not even a question, because I believe for the Eagles that it's much more important what happens around the draft in late April.
Okay.
Is much more important to their long-term health and long-term success.
Yeah, I'll take the beginning of a season over sans playoffs, over pretty much anything that you have to look forward to. Like the opening of a season, that's real. That's there. And especially this year with the expectations you have for the Phillies, yeah, that's cool. You can tell me they signed a free agent, they lost somebody to free agency, the Eagles did and all. All right, that doesn't affect me until September. So, yeah, I'm Phillies all in all the time.
It's funny because I probably would agree with you, but the free agency and the draft are going to set up the ultimate season in a way. I mean, the Eagles, they control the city when things are going good, and they need to rectify this. They need to right the ship. The way you do that is free agency and through the draft. So I think the more positive note right now is the Phillies. They're it. I mean, that's like the thing we look forward to with what's going on with the Sixers. Flyers are overachieving, but I don't think anyone expects them to win a cup. The Phillies, it's all right, they could actually do it. They could be the distraction we need from a crappy Eagles season. But then this Eagles time period, it's just so important to see what they do, see who comes back, how they handle the cap, and how they handle free agency. They're always big players for that stuff. So I'm a little surprised both of you picked the Phillies because it is such a long season. And because opening day is that stupid, let's play on a Thursday and then take off the next day.
I love that.
I hate it.
Yeah, I love it because of the fact that if you're going to have a crappy day and you know you have a beautiful day the next day, you can do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could just do a double header later in the season.
I don't want to do double headers.
Later in the season you do a double header.
He said he doesn't want to do double headers.
I don't like the double headers later in the season because I always think it ends up screwing you.
No, you'll like it. You'll like it when it happens.
Because you know what I get.
Baseball.
Because you know what I get the last couple of years under Rob Thompson? Bullpen games.
Well, you're probably going to get that no matter who the manager is because that's just Major League
baseball
Baseball.
anymore.
Well, they talked about Dave Dombrowski's talked about the fact that they added the starting pitching depth in the organization this year, so they would have arms in the mix.
See.
I'm hoping.
I hope you're. I don't like I've waited this long for baseball. Yeah, I have baseball day off. Hate it. I want a 3-game series and then you can have a day off. But don't do that.
You believe what we believe, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to contend for the NL East. I think their schedule early on is so easy that they'll be right there with the Braves. I think it's just such a long season, and they're not favored to win the World Series because the Dodgers are so loaded. But it's interesting because we look at it like Philly, where that doesn't seem to matter. Like the favorite hasn't seemed to matter much when it gets to the playoffs, and that's a pretty cool thing when you factor in that teams have come into CBP and just kind of floundered in a way. So you look at it like, all right, Dodgers, Smodgers, we don't really care about them because it's a different beast in here, and maybe we can affect it. But it's just such a long season that I'm looking forward to it. But really, it's like free agency in the draft sets you up for the bird season to give you an idea of if last year was a fluke or if they're really gonna be true contenders again.
Yeah, I don't blame
you guys for saying baseball.
I'm so in on this Phillies team. I feel so confident in them. I feel much more confident than I did last year.
I haven't had this feeling for a Phillies team in a long time. It probably has to go back to the what do you call them, Pat? The glory years or whatever?
Glory days.
The glory.
The golden era, the glory days.
I do, and like even yesterday, 1 o'clock, couldn't wait. See a little bit Braves, and you see Real Muto comes up and Bohm come up for their first at bats in spring training, and boom, hit home runs. That's like, oh, cool. This is all right. And then you see Bryce Harper diving in the hole and making a play at first base. And it's like, guys, this is,
They're back.
Yeah, this is, I do think this is going to be a really fun year.
Again, the reason why being that it's weird because Anthony asks me on an email, he says, are you seriously? You're more excited about this year than you were last year coming off a World Series appearance? Yes. The reason why is I think I got so many answers last year, Pat. I think I got so many things that I saw. I saw Alec Boehm show, I can play a really competent third base. I saw Bryson Stott take the next level up. Yeah. I saw Castellanos bounce back from a depressing first year into having a really, really effective year at the plate. I saw so many things that made me say Ranger Suarez is real. Like there's like I have less questions. So I feel better.
And don't forget what happened last year going into the season. You lost Rhys Hoskins.
Oh yes.
You didn't have Bryce Harper. Like those are two huge things. So
big.
was there fun expectations for last year? Yes, but you also had two huge black clouds in that Rhys Hoskins went down in spring training for the season done, and Bryce Harper, you didn't know when he was coming back. So therefore, I do label this season as more excitement for me. Just me to answer Anthony's email to you. Yeah, I look more towards this year because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so much more reason to be optimistic this year over last year. Like
I mean, you did have the addition of Trey Turner, which was really cool because none
of us expected it to go the way it did last year.
Right, and to add more to the expectations of this year, I think we all are looking for Trey Turner to have a whole season of what we saw later in the year.
Yeah, and last year too, you're going into the season. And the big question was, when's Bryce coming back? How quickly can he come back? And when he comes back, what will he be playing? Will it be DH? Will it be first base? Can he play first base? And then, Rhys goes down really early on in spring training, and it was like, because that was the whole around this time it was more so, can they survive without Bryce, stay afloat, get Bryce back? Reese goes down, and you're like, crap, well, there goes
And then they lost
a big piece in your order.
I'm drawing the blank on the first baseman that they lost right in the beginning of the season. Derek Hall goes right
he
after
broke his
it.
hand.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
you
it
were
was,
like, we don't know who's playing. You got Jake Cave coming up there. That was
oh,
gross.
jeez.
Clemens.
That's right. Yeah, Cody Clemens.
Cody
He
Clemens.
actually looked all right for a stretch. He looked
right.
okay.
12 at bats. He did.
Yeah, it was more than that, but he
Got his dad throwing some BP.
he was serviceable for them for what they needed at the time. But it was like crap. So you're out Reese Hoskins, you're out Bryce Harper. This might be a rough stretch. This year it's like, I mean, knock on wood because it's still
Yes, it's
February.
still
but I
early,
mean,
yes.
yeah, everybody right as of now is healthy. Everything's looking good. You saw the Trey Turner that earned a $330 million contract. So you've seen it. You saw it in a Phillies uniform towards the end of the year. Like
You
you
saw
at least,
like 6 weeks of
but
trade
that's what
time.
I'm saying. But at least you saw it. Like it's better than Castellanos the year before, where you didn't see anything of it. I've witnessed it with my own eyes of him hitting home runs in a Phillies uniform and stealing bases. That was cool.
Yeah, I can tell you this is, and another thing is if you're listing question marks, the only question mark I really have is the team, is the defense going to be less sloppy, and Trey Turner's the number one on that list because he was the worst player at his position. I'm worried about that, and I do believe you'll see an improvement there. Whether it's going to be an adequate enough improvement, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. For some reason, that doesn't. I don't worry. I'm not worried about that. Like I saw enough plays by him last year to think, okay, there's something that's just a little bit off because he made some spectacular plays last year.
That Braves series, he had that one that was just
the double
amazing.
play was
Yes.
it was unbelievable. So I'm not, and he's addressed it already, saying he knew what it was. The Phillies, he worked with them. They have a really good infield coach that they talk about all the time. So I'm not worried about Trey Turner fielding wise. I think a lot of it was just mental. Yo, dude, come on, get your head in it, stuff. So I think he'll be okay there. Major concerns? I would say my one is the lineup. What does Rob Thompson do with this lineup? And you can look at it and say, look, it shouldn't be a concern. They win either way, whether Schwarber's leading off or he's not.
Right.
They still win. But I don't know. I think there's a tryout going on right now.
So you really do?
I do. Like, if you're dead set on not having Schwarber, no, let me not say it. I'm not going to say that. If you're Rob Thompson, you say, you know what, I'm giving in. I'm going to have Turner, Stott, somebody else lead off, and Schwarber's going to bat fourth. If one of those guys isn't in the lineup, why are you leading off Schwarber?
Because you're hedging?
Or
Like that would be to me as
you're
your head.
trying it out.
Or you're trying to say, well, look, when I start Schwarber, look how this offense works. Like, look how it rolls.
It could be.
It's again, I don't see any correlation. I just am going back to I forget what the doctor's name was at the School of Business on the business statistics back in college. But the idea is I don't see any correlations. Well, the games that Schwarber bats leadoff, they win. Well, then that takes out of the equation. You are ignoring. Well, did Zach Wheeler pitch that day? Did Aaron Nola pitch that day? Did Harper play in the lineup?
Well, now you're going. You're doing analytics
because it takes.
You're doing something you're against.
I'm doing it because it takes every variable because it's a useless stat.
Well, in its simplest form,
because it takes every bit out of it.
Okay. Well,
like on a sunny,
it's a KISS example.
Like
Keep it simple.
On a sunny day, you walk out into the parking lot, and on a bright sunny day, you find $5 blowing in the lot, and then the next time there's a sunny day, you find $1 laying in the parking lot. Then you would say, hey, every time it's a sunny day, I find money in the parking lot. It's a stat that means nothing. Because it takes into
that was a really bad analogy.
No, but
I didn't think it was bad. I gotta be honest. I thought it was a pretty good one. Yeah, I do.
It takes everything out of it. It takes all logic out of it. Well, wait a minute. Then did Zach Wheeler pitch a 2-hitter on the day that because Schwarber might have batted leadoff and might have gone 0 for 4.
Yeah, I mean, they're a good baseball team, so they should
have all
win
kinds of other reasons why you.
Yeah, win. I mean, I just go back to I don't think his power just suddenly he becomes a 15 home run a season guy if he bats.
No,
behind,
I agree with
and it might be a situation where yes, he doesn't hit 47 home runs, he hits 43, but the other guys in the lineup and Trey Turner, is getting on base and he's wrecking havoc on base. That yes, while while Kyle Schwarber's numbers do end up dipping a little bit, it actually ends up rising everybody else and their numbers, and thus the team scores more runs. And his RBI total should be bigger because of the fact that, you got guys on base for him.
Let's see what Andrew has to say. Andrew, good morning. You're on the Fanatic. How are you, buddy?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good to hear from you, buddy.
Can you tell me where this parking lot is with the free money so I can come and get something?
Well, I don't know. Is it gonna be sunny
yes,
today? Yes.
Andrew, it's at One Bala Plaza, and it's about 10:15. And look for the guy with the good head of hair walking out. His name's John, and then just
look for money.
Beat the crap out of him.
Yeah. So, am I the only one who seems not concerned by everything else? But the only thing I'm concerned about is Aaron Nola being able to pitch 7, 8 innings, because he has not had. I can't remember the last time he had a 7 or 8 inning stretch in the last few years. And maybe, Pat, you know this more than I do because you are the smartest guy whiz there at the station. So
that's a low bar.
But,
Smartest guy what?
Just let him go.
Station.
Yeah, just let him go, dude. Just let him go.
Wow.
Let me have this, Bob.
So, that's my main concern is how is Aaron Nola going to be able to do inning in and game out because obviously he's been so inconsistent for the last few years. So that's my only concern going into this season.
Yeah,
that's
I
a
like
good
that,
one.
though.
I did like that one when I saw it
Good
on
job,
our board.
Andrew.
I liked it. Yeah, the consistency of Aaron Nola. It's not even like just season to season, though. When, he brought something up, but when is he going to get past the 6th inning? Which is funny because if you look at last year, early on, here was his run. 6, 7, 8, 6.1, 6, 7, 7, 6, 6, 7, 6 and a third, 6 and 2, 6, 7 and a third, 6, 7 and a third, 7. That's a hell of a damn stretch there.
It was.
He puts in innings.
And more importantly, I think there's many times that you're talking about the fact that he's being hooked because Captain Hook decides to take him out early. I think there's a lot of times where I'm going, wait a minute. He's got 2 more batters in him. He's got an opportunity there. He's not always leaking oil when he's pulled out.
Yeah, now, and it's funny, too. So all those innings that I just rattled off, and that was a span of about 20 starts, you would take that, right?
Yes.
So he pitched a total of 193 and 2/3 of an innings last year. And the complaint against Blake Snell is that he only went 180 innings. We're talking about 13 more innings over 32 starts for the two of them. Like, I find the Blake Snell stuff so
Yeah, I mean,
funny.
it's such a when you do those numbers, it really does come off as it's just a talking point that nobody. You know what? It's almost as ridiculous a talking point as the Phillies win when Schwarber bats leadoff. It's the same type of thing. There's no correlation to that. You just say he's pitching, and I think he is victimized by his manager.
If you were a manager and the team lost 10 out of 13, and you look and you say, my God, why is it that we win with Kyle Schwarber batting leadoff? I have no idea, so I'm just going to throw him in there, and they start winning again. You just do it anyway. Sometimes logic isn't, especially in baseball, I feel, sometimes logic has to get thrown out the window.
A little bit,
Why?
yes.
I don't know, but all right, we'll just go with it. I have no idea.
Hey, Mark joins us. Mark, good morning. You're on the Fanatic. How are you, buddy?
Good, guys. How are you doing?
We're
Hey,
doing
Mark.
well, man.
Good. So, first I'll say I'm excited about this season, and for several reasons. Because Harper is fully healthy, right? Because he's looking like possibly a future Gold Glove candidate, first base. And I thought that was, his play yesterday was pretty good. But I never was big on Schwarber leading off. I hate it. I hate when people say that, well, they win 60% of their games. Yeah, well, if he's hitting fourth and it's Turner, Stott, Harper, Schwarber, maybe his 94 or 104 RBIs will turn into 125, 130 because a guy hitting 46, 47 home runs should be hitting 120 to 130 RBIs. And if Turner gets rid of his first-year yips like Castellanos had in his first year, then Turner would have a productive year this year. He's going to be running the base path. Stott can get you 30 steals. He's going to hit for a good average and a good on base. It starts the carousel. So I'd rather him come up there with a man or two on base. It's almost like a gauntlet for the other pitcher. If you have to face those 4 in a row, what are you going to do? So, if otherwise it's, okay, we got Cash Schwarber. Now we can, kind of navigate the less powerful hitters. I'd rather have him at 4. That's where he belongs, 4 and DHing.
I agree with you. Like
Yeah.
I've gone both ways on it and made the argument for the sake of making argument because that's what we do. We talk for 4 hours. So if we all agreed, we'd just be sitting here with our thumbs, you know where. But it can't be understated though. Like I agree with everything that Mark said. I agree with what you said. Like it's how does it really relate to it? But you just can't. You can't ignore it. I don't know
I can't
why.
ignore it.
There's nothing that lends to it. But if I don't have him in the starting lineup and you're winning 44% of your games over a 25-game stretch, then I do put him in the lineup and you win 60% of your games. If you make it that simple, I don't care if you're the smartest guy in the world like Pat is, according to Andrew, or if you're
I
the
agree with him.
dumbest.
Really?
You'd probably go with it.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, to me, there's no, you can't, I don't know. I am too black and white, though. So I admit.
No, you're
when I'm
not black and white enough. If you were too black and white, you would say, look, when when he's number one, when he's number one hitter, we win. When he's not, we lose more often, so I'm putting him number one.
No, because my logical mind says, well, wait a minute. There's too many other factors that go into winning a game.
That's
that
not
it doesn't
logic.
matter.
That's analytics. Now that's being
No,
too
it's
smart.
not. No
so you're being
analytics.
too smart, John.
Hey, you've never said that to me. Hey, Brian, good morning. You're on the Fanatic.
Hey, guys, good morning.
Hey, buddy.
I've got a different take on the Schwarber thing. I think everybody focuses on the home run, which is, the most eye-catching, but it's a mistake. Instead, what we should be talking about with Schwarber is the fact that he doesn't put the ball in play a ton because he walks or he strikes out. And as a result, you don't want him hitting fourth because when the guys in front of him, who are the guys most likely in the line to get on base, he's not going to move them with a walk or a strikeout, which happens most of the time. But because he walks a lot, he gets on base a lot, he's there on base for the guys behind him that, again, are going to put the ball in play most or do the most damage. So that's why you want him in front of those guys because his balls don't go into play.
His balls don't go into play?
I disagree with you because of the fact, Brian, is that when the big swat happens and there's Turner or Stott or Harper in front of him, when his big swings happen, I think he's going to see more fastballs in that position, too. I think he's going to be less likely to be able to be pitched around.
Well, this is why I love baseball because there's
It's fun.
so
There's a
many
lot of
different
chess
ways of
matching.
looking at it. Does he walk as much if there's players in front of him on base? Brian says, look, he either walks or strikeouts or hits home run.
Sure.
You're right. But does that happen at the four-hole position? Does it happen that they're going to be nitpicky? He's not walking just because he has a good eye. He's walking because pitchers are a little afraid to pitch to him, like giving up a home run when there's nobody on base, whatever. Now there's guys on base. You think they're going to be, he's going to get as many walks?
No?
I don't know. It's why I love baseball. I absolutely could talk baseball almost 24 hours a day.
Andrew DeCecco joins us live from the Scouting Combine coming up. And I have a question about quirks you may have when you travel. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Night off. I'm
Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. The John Kincade Show with Bob Cooney and Pat Egan continues. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
You got game time coming up at the bottom of the hour. And Andrew DeCecco will join us from Indianapolis, where the scouting combine's going on. Been hearing great coverage at night with Connor and Tom and Andrew and also Bill Colarulo stepping in. If you haven't listened to Bill on Saturdays and Sunday mornings, you should check him out here in the Fanatic, because we've been all over it, getting ready for this Eagles off season. But lots of more combine talk and potentially some questions answered. And it's good. We can get some of those answers, Bob. The idea is that how much did Jason Kelce coming back last year affect what happened on the defensive side of the ball as far as like budgeting? And would it this year also, if he decides to come back? And we saw last year it was March 13th. So we find out before free agency begins. That we found right out last year. And they had a pre-made video last year. So it makes me wonder if they already know the answer.
Well, yeah, the whole Vegas thing was kind of ridiculous. If they do have another thing, it should be clinking of glasses and saying, all right, here we come,
Final
training
ride?
camp. No, here we come, training camp. Like, get your eyes on what's directly in front of you, not down the road. So I'm leaning more towards he's not coming back.
I'm leaning towards that also.
Yeah.
I believe he told his teammates. I don't believe that was false reporting. And then maybe he went back after the fact and thought about it.
Yeah, and as we know from watching the doc on him, that, you know, he is one to change his mind maybe.
Sure.
So
I think Kelce might kill him, Pat, from watching that documentary and everything.
Yeah.
We may have a 2020 after this. If he decides to come back, it may be the Kelce 2020. That, you know, does she finally snap?
Did you get the feeling that she was all for him retire? I mean, I know
Yes.
she was watching him walk, and she's like, yeah, the toll it takes on his body.
Yes.
Yeah?
When the kids were playing in the yard?
Yeah.
And she's sitting on the porch?
Yeah, and he's
watching
limping
him?
around.
That's the exact scene that I was thinking of, yep.
And I think that she and my wife watched that, and she had never seen Kylie, and everything about it. And my daughter just loves Kylie. And she said, man, she loves her husband. When she heard her speak, she said she loves that man. She really loves that man.
Look, I'm not going to dive into anybody's relationship, so this next question that I'm posing is offbeat for me. But if she so does love her man and he comes out and says, look, I want to play one more year.
I think she'd support him 100%.
I agree. I think she supported it, but she'd be like, all right, I think this has got to be it.
Isn't it funny that we're actually talking about
walk.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, Bob, like, we're talking about it, but it's really crazy is that they're the ones who make it so public, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I think they have a great relationship. It just looks like they have a really, really cool relationship. Bob, I wanted to show you a number. Pat, you can pull it up on your on Twitter. I put a picture out. I was asking about travel quirks. Here's the picture I put on Twitter. You know what they are?
Yeah, I'm not going to even acknowledge it because you're so strange.
My envelopes are already packed and ready for travel. So you got to...
See, I worry about you on vacation. Like, are you so planned? Are you so regimented that you go away and it has to be... Actually, I don't worry about you. That's what you like to do. I worry about Christina.
I've got no...
Is she like, oh, my God, it's 11 o'clock. Here he goes with his envelope and bum, 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 boom.
The envelopes are... envelope for maid's tips. There's an envelope for the driver. We have a driver, Uber driver taking us that does private, taking us to and from the airport, so we don't have to park our car. It's cheaper. I've got envelopes for dinner tips. I've got envelopes for every day for drinking at the pool, to be able to have cash that we can carry with us. So I got all the cash for the trip.
What if Christina starts just throwing them back and you go over the limit that you had? Do you have to dip into another envelope?
She can go to another envelope.
Does she have her own envelope?
Well, she has her own money if she wants it, I guess. But it's so funny is because I posted this up, and some of my old buddies that I used to work with for years are like, oh, no, here it comes. The envelopes are out again. But to me, it takes the stress out of it. So when I travel, I have completely no stress. I know I don't have to carry the cash is already all set. I just have to go into the safe, take a little cash out, and I'm fine. And I can just do nothing with no worries in the head.
I don't worry about cash when I'm on vacation. And I'm not saying that in a snotty way. I'm saying, like, when the bill comes, I tip off of the bill and I don't think about it.
Well, the thing is that in all-inclusive, it's just you don't get bills. So you just have to have cash with you. You have to cash tip. You have to do. So I wanted all that money to come in. When I asked the guy, Pat, at the Bank of America here on City Line, I asked him for 161s the other day, and he looked at me like I was handing him like 20.
Wait, well, you asked for $1 bills?
$161.
Yeah, he thought you were going to Delaware Avenue. There's a couple clubs down there.
That's funny. He looked at me. He looked at me and he goes,
"I'm visiting Cinnamon. I'm visiting Audi. I'm visiting Destiny,
Porsche,
Porsche." Yeah.
He looked at me like I was crazy. He goes, 161s? And I said, yeah, 161s.
Absolutely.
And I said, I need a bunch of those envelopes. And he looked at me like, what the hell is this guy doing?
I could understand that look. Now, if you go to a bar and you're hanging out, you and Christina, and you have your envelope for the tip for the bar guy.
No, we take money out of the envelope, and then I just go, okay, just say, when you're in an all-inclusive, just go, buck a drink out of this country is amazing. And American cash. Don't transfer your money. They love American cash.
See, I do it differently. If I I would give the guy a 50 at the beginning of the week and say, "Yeah, we're here till Thursday. What's your name?" And you get his name, and then when
hope
you come
that
up,
he's the one that could see. That's not a bad idea.
Crowded bar. He's going to remember that 50 right off the bat.
Different strategy.
And guess what? Then I don't have to think for the rest of the vacation, John.
That's not bad either.
Yeah,
that's not bad either. But you have any other quirks like that? As we wait for Andrew,
I don't have any quirks like that.
You know, I'll tell you.
When you travel.
The envelope thing is something I've done.
Oh, so you have done that too?
You've gotten me in on that. I've done it primarily when I go to Vegas.
Right, it's great.
It'll just keep me. It'll keep me disciplined
and focused. Yes.
And I know that myself, like I just have a very personality-wise, where I'd be like, yeah, I'll take out another 100. I'll take another 100. That just keeps me disciplined. So
the envelope method for Vegas is spectacular.
A lot of people do like that from you. I'm not a huge gambler at all when I go to Vegas. Actually, I don't gamble at all when I go to Vegas. So, no, the only quirkiness I have about traveling is just my clothes. Like when I pack 10 minutes before I have to leave, I just make sure, okay, this shirt goes with those pants, roll them together, throw it in the bag.
I have got, I told you the other day I was packed from Tuesday.
Yeah,
because none of the clothes that I'm bringing had to be our clothes I'm wearing now. I'm not wearing golf shorts now. I'm not wearing, short sleeve polo shirts. I'm not wearing shorts and T-shirts. So I was able to pack the other day and also have that done. So it was good. Now, the weird thing was I said to Andrew yesterday.
This is what I love about you. You know how weird you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, because you're saying this, and while people don't see your face out there while we're talking, you're laughing at yourself.
No, I am. It's just I said yesterday to Andrew, I said, yeah, Christina goes and spends like $80 at Target getting Imodium and Tums and all this kind of stuff in case overseas.
Sounds like my kind of woman right there.
It does. And Andrew goes, Christy did the same thing before our trip.
Oh yeah, I was the most popular guy at Sandals because I had Tums.
See, he had Tums.
All of a sudden I was like, yo, go hit the.
You were the dealer.
And let me tell you, it was an area where there was another item that was trying to be procured by a lot of people.
Yes.
That grew out of the ground, but they didn't want that. No, Johnny.
They wanted
they came to the other dealer, the other pusher man.
She got Imodium. She got Imodium. Mm-hmm. She got Tums. She got all this stuff.
Absolutely. You want the smoothie kind? I got you.
Okay, now, Bob, I know this guy doesn't think I'm weird. Andrew DeCecco from Inside the Birds and 97.5 The Fanatic is out at the scouting combine. There's no quirkiness with me, Andrew, right? I mean, not at all, right?
Zero quirkiness.
You know too well. How is the scouting combine? Give us a feel of what the energy is like around the event. Because honestly, when I watch it on TV, it's almost as like it's being held in a museum, how quiet it is. And they've got teams in each of the boxes, right?
Yeah, well, this is truly an awesome event. So basically, John, what happens to kind of set the scene for the listeners is the early part of the week, you're going to the convention center, which is obviously connected to Lucas Oil Stadium, but you're seeing
the prospect interviews, the head coach interviews, the GM interviews at the podium, and you're getting a chance to talk to and get FaceTime with a lot of NFL folks, which I think is invaluable. So that doesn't necessarily have that museum quiet-esque feel to it, but it's so invaluable. So that, and then as you move towards the weekend is when you get ready for the actual testing drills. And then obviously outside of all that, you're gathering information, you're meeting a lot of folks, and there's a lot of places to go downtown, and everything's in walking distance. So it's been just a truly tremendous experience.
Andrew, I know when I used to go to the NBA Combine, there would always, like, after a day or two or even going into it, there was always a name that, like, just kept popping up. I remember one year it was a shooter's combine, and a lot of the big stars went, and Nick Stauskas was all the rage going into the combine. Do you have one of those this year?
Well, I would say keep an eye on Darius Robinson, the edge rusher from Missouri, who is going to be a late first-round pick by all indications. The Eagles are in need of an edge rusher, and he's someone that has been a fast riser. He met with the Eagles at the Senior Bowl, hadn't met with them yet by the time I talked to him yesterday morning at the Combine, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. There's still plenty of time left to go here. But that's a name as far as testing, power, anchor. He had a really strong Senior Bowl, and he's been able to if he's able to parlay that into a strong testing this weekend, I mean, he's going to solidify his status as a late first-round pick.
Andrew, when you hear that, like Jeff McClain's reporting just yesterday, that teams are calling about Hassan Reddick. And yesterday on Andrew's show, Jeff said he's 50-50 on whether he's coming back. And it seems like Tim McManus, yesterday with Best Show Ever, is sort of feeling the same way. Like they're sitting on the fence, nobody getting an idea how this is going. Is there any kind of buzz about players like him and Snead, who's out there seeking a trade potentially, that you're hearing or you're hearing Pete teams talk about?
So I haven't heard any buzz as far as trading Hassan Reddick, but I'm not surprised that there are a number of teams lining up to bring him in. To me, he would make a lot of sense for a team like the Texans or the Chiefs, or a team that's really close to winning and needs a piece, because obviously he's not going to be a building block being 29, almost 30 years old here. But just like in L'Jarius Sneed, he's not going to be a fit for everybody. So it's going to take a specific team, specific scheme, and how they envision using him that would make sense for the right fit. I am also 50-50 on Hassan Reddick coming back. Howie didn't tip his hand one way or the other, and you got the sense that while he said how valuable he was and talked about his impact and all those great things, he also had a caveat there and was saying we also have to be mindful of the future. So it seems like he's bracing for it from either way. And knowing how the cap extended and, they have a lot more money to work with now, you would think that you'd be able to keep him. But the Eagles also have a lot of work to do, and I don't know if they're going to be willing or able to financially invest in Hassan any further.
If you had to say this is the number one focus point for the Eagles, whether it's general or more specific, Andrew, what would it be starting from now for this offseason?
For me, it's safety. You have to get better at safety. To be able to orchestrate a Vic Fangio defense, Bob, you have to have a smart, versatile safety that can do a number of different things, pre and post. And the Eagles right now don't have that available to them. There's Justin Evans, who's going to be a free agent. There's Sidney Brown coming off a torn ACL. It's going to impact the start of his season in all likelihood. So you're looking at Reed Blankenship, who in my opinion is a number 3 safety in this league, can still be a contributing piece, but shouldn't be a starter. And you have Kevin Byard, who I would be surprised, I'd be floored if he came back at that price, which I just don't foresee happening. So there's a lot of question marks there, and they don't have the quintessential Vic Fangio safety there. So I think that's something they're going to have to address.
Okay, Andrew DeCecco, Inside the Birds, 97.5 The Fanatic. He's live at the Scouting Combine, and he's been giving information back all week here on The Fanatic. I look at it as this. I brought up something that some are considering blasphemy this morning. You drafted the hand-picked successor to Jason Kelce 2 years ago at his request. Like, this is the guy who you should pick. You then have Jason Kelce come back last year on what many thought was a farewell tour. We found out on March 13th last year that he was coming back right before free agency. Where do you think that situation's going? And would you be okay if they moved on, having that money to spend elsewhere?
Yeah, I would expect the decision is going to be made here in the coming weeks. That wouldn't be a surprise. But If I had to guess right now, I'm leaning towards Jason retiring. That's just my opinion, but that's the way I kind of see it, and I've called it that way throughout the whole offseason so far. Now, having that money available to the Eagles is going to be tremendous in a season where, let's face it, guys, they have a lot of work to do, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And that's where I think you could see them really look to, one, build through the draft, but I think there's some key free agents they could bring in and start to really build this thing up the right way. Now, losing someone like Jason Kelsey is, I mean, that's a loss that's really tough to overcome. But the Eagles eventually, like you mentioned, them drafting the replacement, and Cam Jurgens can do it, and that's what they drafted him to do. So I think eventually you have to, you're going to come to a fork in the road there and have to make a decision.
Andrew, my mic's not working. We were diving into this a little bit earlier, and it sounds like a simple question, but I know there's more to it. Last year, they signed Kelsey for $15 million a year. Did that prohibit them in any way from signing the guys that they didn't bring back, like a T.J. Edwards, like a C.J. Gardner-Johnson? Were they directly related, or could they have signed those guys also? They just, for other reasons, decided not to.
Yeah, no, I don't think that was cost prohibitive, Bob, to be honest. I mean, they made a play to bring in C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That didn't work out, so they pivoted and they went with James Bradbury, and obviously you saw the results this year. Howie's as creative as anyone as manipulating the cap and finding ways to maximize his resources, and so I don't attribute that to being any to contributing to the Eagles' shortcomings in terms of bringing in these one-year prove-it-deal type of guys. But it's something that I think when you look at the success that they had in that Super Bowl season, bringing in a guy like a Kaiser Way, having an undrafted free agent in T.J. Edwards, getting value and bringing in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, you almost feel like we can do that again and run it back in the same fashion. And I think you realize that you have to – it comes down to evaluating talent. I think you realize that it doesn't always work that way. And you have to really start to build organically through the draft is the way to do it.
Do you believe that free agency, though, could be the way that the 2024 Eagles rebound faster than what happens in the draft? Or do you think this is a richly talented draft where the Eagles could potentially find three guys you could plug in as starters?
I think this is a really rich draft, particularly at the cornerback and offensive line positions that the Eagles have historically, and looking at it in terms of offensive linemen, they've been prone to grab one early. But I think the way to build a team the right way, guys, is you supplement the roster with free agents and you build through the draft. The Eagles don't have a ton of homegrown talent, a lot of building blocks to sort of move forward with and develop. So I think right now when you have premium picks, there's corners that are going to be available, there's linebackers that are going to be available, which I think you're going to see one taken a little bit higher than they have in the past. That's what you need to do, because you look at a team like the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, their whole secondary was made primarily of homegrown young players that they developed, and the Eagles don't have a lot of that, and I think that needs to start now.
Andrew, is there answers out there to some of the questions that we have that are obvious? For example, like there's a question, who's going to be your starting running back? Is it obvious to you? Oh, it's going to be DeAndre Swift. I'm not saying that specifically, but is there questions out there that you think there are solid answers already in place?
I would say, well, edge rusher. If you don't have Hassan, I think the logical choice would be Nolan Smith and slide him in there, but there's question marks that come with that. If Fletcher Cox doesn't return or he moves forward or he retires, you have guys in place that you drafted. So there's less question there. To me, I'm looking at where I do have my question marks are at safety and at number 3 receiver. There's not much beyond A.J. and Devontae. Britton Covey's still there, of course, but there's a lot of guys that are beyond him that are future deal players. So you have to find out a lot about them and maybe invest in free agency or the draft. So those would be the questions. But I think defensive tackle and pass rusher, that's where they have contingency plans in place.
All right, so on that, I'll be specific. Do you think they're bringing DeAndre Swift back?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, and I'll give you another one real quick. How about Isaiah Rodgers? What's the game plan for him?
So he has yet to be reinstated. That's a situation that I've been monitoring over the past few weeks. But so he's someone that can return kicks. He can play outside. He can play inside corner. I think in Philadelphia he's going to project more as an inside corner. He's played more outside in his career, but given what the Eagles have, and you heard them say that if Bradbury is here, which they said as of now he's part of their plans, he's going to be an outside corner. So I think to get him reps, it would be in the nickel spot. They also have decisions to make about Avonte Maddox as well. So that makes sense to me that Isaiah would be looked at there and he can return some kicks, but he still has to prove and make the team. This is a player who's been out of football obviously for a year, and for as athletic as he is and the talent that he has, he still has to make the roster.
Your confidence that the 2024 season can go further than the 2023 season before free agency and before the draft. How much confidence do you have in them having a really good plan that's going to make next season be more successful than this one?
Oh, I'm certainly more confident that it can be more successful than the past season because I like what they've done in terms of building their coaching staff. And I know that bringing in someone like Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, they're going to have a lot more say in the personnel that they bring, in the systems that they run, and different nuances that they bring to the table where the past coaches didn't necessarily have that. They weren't afforded those liberties. So right now, right off the bat, without adding any personnel, I think right there makes a big difference. And they need to bring in some outside voices to be able to kind of alter the team's trajectory. And I think that's what you have in those two guys.
I saw you walking yesterday near St. Elmo's. You did not go in?
Yeah.
You did not go to dinner, or have you done that?
I have not gone there. Now, I fly back to Philly later this afternoon, so maybe before I go, I might try and grab a lunch there. I can't go to Indianapolis and not have the famous St. Elmo cocktail sauce, which is supposed to be crazy strong.
I got to tell you, it's overhyped as far as how hot it is. You can handle it. You can handle it.
I'm a spicy foods guy. I love
You'll be
hot
fine.
peppers and all that, so I'll be all right there. But I think I'm going to try and squeeze in there a lunch before I have to fly out.
Great work, buddy, and we appreciate you. And we'll look forward to catching up with you as we get closer to free agency and the draft. We'll look forward to having all your insights, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Andrew.
Andrew DeCecco joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. You know the Comcast Business gets you ready for what's next. I've always been interested in, I loved reading yesterday. I must have spent 20 minutes, 30 minutes yesterday reading stuff from different people about the combine and coverage and everything. And it still does shock me that 6 teams have, the largest ever, have, begged out. That's just strange to me. It is really strange.
I can't imagine they don't have any representation there at all. That is, if 6 teams did that, that's crazy to me. Yeah.
And as Adam told us yesterday, Mike Shanahan was the first one as a coach ever to skip it. As a coach ever to skip it.
I could see a coach skipping it.
But now teams figure that they can do pro days. They can do their own visits. They can have people in. I guess they want that more. They don't want – because, by the way, those meetings are timed. So when you get to do the 30-player interviews, you don't get to have it be an hour. It said you're scheduled for this guy from this time. And the league actually monitors how long you speak to players.
Oh, yeah.
What's that about? What if somebody enjoys the conversation with you and they want to spend 10 more minutes? Why? That to me is weird. That's weirder than my envelopes by a million.
Yeah. I got the worst text also while we were talking to Andrew from my wife.
Okay.
I'll read it verbatim here.
Okay.
I love John's envelope idea. We are going to try it, so I won't stress.
It's a good idea, man. I don't like giving the guy credit. John, take your headphones. John, do me a favor.
Let me take them off.
Take your headphones off. I don't like giving this jackass credit for anything, but it's a good idea and it keeps you budgeted.
And more.
I don't spend money.
More importantly, I don't have to.
She
ever,
does.
I don't think.
I don't ever have to worry about I don't want to carry my wallet around the resort.
I've never carried a wallet.
Well, I want to be able to just know that I've gone. Okay, we're going out to the pool. Bring the ones.
Here's the thing.
Bring the ones.
Listen to what he's saying. He's going, I don't spend money. I don't carry a wallet. He's not the one paying for it.
Yeah, Donna.
Donna has the card. So if Donna, the financier, wants to,
she's a visionary.
She is the financier.
She gets it.
And if anybody doesn't use my envelope
Bank of
system,
Donna.
if anyone does not use my envelope system in Vegas, especially if you're a first timer in Vegas, I really do think it's a brilliant system. It works. And the more people that I find use it, they come back and they go, that was great. I feel better about it. Because I tend to never hit it big, never lose big. I always come back either a little up or a little down. And I had great entertainment, playing cards, doing whatever I want to do. But it just is, it keeps you on budget. You're already done. You don't have to stress anything. Vacation's already handled beforehand. So I think you married a smart woman, Bob. Just saying.
Yeah.
It works.
Game time comes your way at the bottom of the hour. Life-changing prizes, Pat?
I guess you'll find out.
We will. We'll stay
I guess
tuned.
you'll find out.
John Kincade Show on The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports. .com.
I was just answering Tim on Twitter,
What do you say, Timmy?
who said, he was referencing Jeff McClain's piece about how the coaching staff and the organization and the owner graded out in the Players Association poll. And Tim says, this is why Sirianni is still the head coach. Players love him. And I pointed out to him, that vote was conducted when they were 8-1 last year and then coming off a Super Bowl. I said whether the vote would be the same after the season is anyone's guess. But mine is that the grade would be far lower, especially knowing from published reports and otherwise that there was definite, I don't want to say uproar, definite discord over his decision to take Sean Desai out as the defensive coordinator without talking to the players first.
Who conducted was
It's
it
the NFL Players
NFLPA?
Association. Yeah, they do it every year.
was.
NFL Players Association.
Okay, so I assume every player probably had to hand it in.
So to me, it's
Interesting.
just there it is, and
Team travel got a D, but I'll bet you, a C. But I'll bet you everybody gets team travel bad. These are big guys in planes, and there's a lot of them. So there's probably, yeah.
yeah, I mean to me that's
overall good marks.
That's
And
what
like I
it,
said,
that's what it
they
was.
got very
Apparently,
good marks.
it was that the front office get like the really good seats up in first class, and then the players.
they have to sit in coach
Are back,
size
yeah.
seats, but it's 2-2. I'm told.
My guess would be like Britton Covey was probably like, travel's great.
yeah.
yeah, I'm
Travel's
fine.
phenomenal. And then you've got Jalen Carter who's like, yeah.
Hank Elliott's like, yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Davis probably like, we could probably improve this.
Well, I used to get to travel sometimes I remember with the Thrashers and the team plane. I flew on a Flyers team plane a couple times. Flew on in the Braves charter. Every player had a first class seat in a plane that was a coach, like a regular style plane that still had like the first class section. But every player had a first class seat throughout the back of the plane. The plane had been retrofitted.
Yeah.
And they also had tables where you could play cards. So
I've
they
never
had,
been
like-
on a team plane.
So they had where you could play cards and things like that. So I would imagine flying in a coach seat would be ridiculous for these guys. Absolutely absurd.
I saw how hard it was for Jamie, and Jamie's like 6'4", 230. Sorry, Jamie, if you're losing weight, congratulations. 240. That's hard. So yeah, that would suck. So I don't imagine if we went all throughout the league looking at team travel that they probably was great grades there.
But the idea of Nick Sirianni's grade, to think that the players were blindsided by the departure of that Sean Desai got demoted. He did not tell the players before he told Sean Desai. To me, I would understand why the players would be. I would have run that by my veterans. I absolutely, and whether strong leaders. Now, some people would say, well, strong leader doesn't need to run things up the flagpole by his players. He makes a decision. I would have run that one by my players because it obviously was very unpopular.
Yeah, I'm all about that communication. I find it hard to believe that anybody in this day and life, like sometimes, look, bosses have to make decisions, but talking it out or whatever, I always think is a big, especially in sports.
Sure.
I mean, okay, you're the head football coach, great, but yeah, why wouldn't you have that open communication with your players? Why wouldn't you go to the defense and say, hey, is there something I should do different here? Like, I'm thinking of getting rid of Desai. And look, you that's why you're the head coach. If you got pushback, no, I don't think we should do that or whatever, and nah, you know what, I'm doing it. That's okay too.
Right,
but,
you at least consulted.
yeah, I just think life's easier that way in sports if everybody's on board, And
You're going to do that next time you travel with Donna and the envelopes. Like you're just going to just let her do the envelopes.
yeah, she can
Very
do
similar.
the envelopes. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
so
not-
you consult with her.
I'm pretty easygoing, John. We're kind of set on our weeks down the shore where I get up, I get all the stuff together, I take it down to the beach, I set everything up, and we're simple. We pack our lunches, we hang out on the beach all day, go back,
See, there it
maybe
is.
have a couple cocktails. Dinners are all planned, so yeah, it's all good.
I like that. So it's interesting. It's at 8:30 on a Thursday morning, and you know what that means on the John Kincade Show. It's game time.
Guys, I don't know if you're aware of this. It is February 29th.
Yes.
This doesn't happen Well, every 4 years it happens, but still, very, very rare occasion. So today's game is going to be famous number 29s in sports. All right, 610-632-0975. We do have fabulous prizes to give away. Wise Snacks, we have a box for all the winners. Wise Snacks is giving away authentic pro football jerseys to 100 lucky fans. Munch the good vibe on game day with Wise Snacks. Go to wisegameday.com for
That's
your
an
chance
interesting angle
to win. We also have a pair of tickets to go see the Flyers Senators on Saturday. A pair of tickets to go see Adam Fisher, head coach, and the Temple Owls battling Tulsa on Saturday. A pair of tickets for the Bucks Beer Bash on Saturday, March 9th at the Fuge in Warminster. A pair of tickets to go see the Sixers Hornets tomorrow. A pair of tickets to go see Nate Bargatze on March 7th at the Wells Fargo Center. And a pair of tickets to go see Kings of Leon September 23rd at the Man. 610-632-0975. This is going to be up to you guys.
Okay.
All right? You guys are playing for the caller, okay? So I'm going to give you a clue on who this person is. They wore number 29 with a team.
Okay.
And then it's up to you guys whether to get it right. And if you get it right, the caller wins.
I like that.
Liam in Conshohocken is going to kick us off first.
Hi, Liam.
Good morning.
All right, let's see if we can
All right,
win
you're
today,
playing
Liam.
with John. John, your clue is this number 29 replaced Pat Burrell. Number 29 replaced Pat Burrell. Who is he?
This 29 replaced Pat Burrell.
Five, three.
Raul Ibanez.
In the nick of time, it was that
Liam,
Raul
he pulled that
Ibanez.
out of
Now,
his butt
I just started to go with outfielders.
he wore 29 with the Phillies from
I
2009
didn't know that, by
to
the way.
2011.
I just guessed.
And he just won Liam a pair of tickets to go see the Flyers and Senators on Saturday at the Wells Fargo Center. Get tickets at PhiladelphiaFlyers.com.
Unheralded player, I still believe, in his Phillies history.
Raul's good. I mean,
Yeah,
he had like the one really, really incredible stretch to start off his career. Let's go to Jarrett in Levittown. He's playing with Bobby.
What's up, Jarrett?
How's it going?
All right, you better have your 29 hat on, buddy.
All right, let's go with this one, Bobby.
Okay, Pat.
Many Eagles fans, including myself, were mad that the Birds did not draft him and instead drafted Brandon Graham.
Oh, the dude from Seattle, Thomas.
Well, we need a first name. There's a lot of there.
Earl.
Okay, thank you. Could have been
There
Dave
we go,
Thomas you were talking
Jarrett.
about.
My name is Earl.
Jarrett, you end up winning a pair of tickets to go see head coach Adam Fisher and the Temple Owls battling Tulsa this Saturday at 1 p.m. at the Lee Course Center. Kids tickets on game day are only $10. Visit owlsticks.com. Get tickets at PhiladelphiaFlyers.com. Click contests. That's for another thing. Huh.
Okay, so there you go.
Whatever. Anyway, we got a contest going on for the Flyers tickets. So, but it's all jumbled up there. Anyway, Sean and Mount Laurel. Sean's gonna be playing with
Sean.
with John.
All right, let's see if we can
Get it done, Sean.
Yeah, it was great to see you too, Sean. Let's make it a winner.
All right,
Sounds good.
Johnny. This guy might be most famous for his endorsement of the Amansky baseball videos.
Oh, I got this one, and I know the man, and I love this
Tom
guy.
Amansky.
His name is Fred McGriff, the crime dog.
The crime dog is correct. Yes,
Great dude.
I don't think he got paid much for those Tom Amansky. I remember him saying like he didn't really.
Pat, how about this?
Nothing?
He didn't get paid.
He did it. That's amazing.
He did it as a favor.
And Tom Amansky's been living off the crime
He did
dog's
it as a
endorsement
favor.
for years.
I
Yes.
give it my full endorsement.
Yes, he does indeed. He just won a pair of tickets to the Bucks Beer Bash on Saturday, March 9th at the Fuge in Warminster. Check out over 30 local breweries, wineries, and distilleries, plus music, food, and fun. Visit bucksbeerbash.com.
What was the famous Tom Amansky drill from the outfielders that is featured in that commercial?
Throwing it into a bucket. Right?
Throwing it into a trash can.
Yeah.
He would lay the trash can behind, and you had to put it in one bounce. That was his whole thing. Get it there in one bounce.
I think we all learned how to play baseball from Tom Amansky, and that's why we're not in the pros.
He did not get paid for that.
All
He
right.
did it as a favor.
Bobby, you're going to be playing with David.
Hey, David, what's
in
up, buddy?
Blackwood.
What's going on? Good morning, guys.
All right, be ready. I might need help.
Bobby, this guy terrorized the Flyers, is still in the league, and plays the position of goaltender. Who is he?
Oh, this is hard.
Still plays in the league.
4.
Hold on, you got anything, David?
2.
It's not Ken Dryden.
What did he
He's not
say?
Still in the league. Who did he say, David?
Well, can you repeat the question?
I can't.
I can't help you, dude.
We spent 47 minutes on this one.
Sorry,
No,
man.
Marc-Andre Fleury is the
Marc
answer.
Andre
I
Fleury.
swear I was going to say him.
Yeah,
Damn
but
it.
you didn't.
jeez.
I
And
didn't.
We just
I'm
lost
sorry,
a caller
David.
and a
I
listener
know
for
Haley
life.
got that one. She has a Fleury
Sugar.
jersey.
Let's go to Rich in Cherry Hill, who's up
Hi,
next.
Rich. Let's see if we can make it a winner here.
Sounds great.
All right, so Johnny, this guy was drafted by the Eagles in the second round out of the University of South Florida to play safety. Who is he?
Jeez. Rich, you have anybody?
No.
I'm so sorry, dude. I'm absolutely
I
spacing
mean,
back.
it's disrespectful to the great Nate Allen.
Nate
Very
Allen.
disrespectful.
Damn.
Very disrespectful. It's fine.
Damn.
It's fine.
Sorry,
It's
Rich.
just,
Sorry, Rich.
No, I mean, Rich didn't have any idea either, so it's
Yeah, I
on
mean,
both
that's a
of you,
tough
really.
one.
Let's go to Ray in Washington Township, who's up next. He's going to be playing with Bobby Cooney.
Hey, Ray. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Ray Ray?
Bob, this guy, I think you'll get this one.
Okay.
This guy was doing the color commentary for the 1980 Miracle on Ice game.
Former goalie.
Yes.
I think I just said his name earlier. Dryden.
Kenny Dryden is correct. The pride of Cornell University, wore number 29
Yes,
with the
Ray.
Canadians.
Thanks,
And
Bobby.
Ray is going to end up winning a pair of tickets to go see the Sixers and Hornets tomorrow at Wells Fargo Center. To purchase tickets
sweet.
for any 76ers game, visit Ticketmaster.com/76ers.
These are good prizes, Pat. You and
Yeah, they are.
you and Todd are
It's
really.
all Todd. Don't give me any credit. I'm reading off a sheet. That's all Todd Father.
That's great.
Let's go to Antonio in Bryn Mawr, who's up next. He's going to be playing with
Antonio,
Johnny.
what's going on, brother? Let's do it, baby.
John, during the doldrums of the Phillies run, and I'm talking like 2015, 16, 17, those days, this man was behind the plate. He was a fourth-round pick from the University of Texas, and he wasn't all that good, but he had a cool name.
Keith Moreland.
No.
Oh, jeez.
Number 6.
No. Cameron Rupp.
Oh, jeez. I am
The
so
answer,
sorry.
15, 16, 17, fourth-round pick, Texas. Yes.
I am so sorry.
It's all right. It's
No,
all
it's
right.
not.
Hey,
That's
we're just
Pat's
costing
fault.
people.
That's all
I love how it's my
Just
fault.
busting
We're
people
costing
listeners.
people listeners over here. It's
Yes.
yeah, but blame the game show host. Let's go to Tony in the Northeast.
Hey, Tone, what's going on?
Good morning, gentlemen.
All
Let's
right.
see what we can do.
Tony, you got to help me out here. This is going to be a tough one, I can tell.
Yeah, okay. This guy was a third-round pick, Bobby, by the Birds out of the Penn State University, and he never played. He was a running back, and he was cut, and he was terrible.
And he never played.
Third-round pick, running back. And I'll tell you right now, I'll give you an even better hint. He was under the Andy Reid administration. Third-round pick, running back out of Penn State, never played
Oh, my
because
gosh.
he was so bad. 5, 4,
Oh, boy.
3. I mean, we just don't know
Bell.
sports. Bell, there's no one named Bell.
There
It's
is.
not even a real person.
David Bell.
I'm sorry,
the third
Tony.
baseman for the Phillies.
Tony, do you have any idea, Tony?
I don't.
It's all right.
Sorry,
I mean,
Tone. Hey, see,
people
what's up with
didn't
this?
win it.
Why do
people
you do
don't
this?
remember Tony Hunt, and it's fine.
Tony
I
Hunt.
know it was Tony
Because he
Hunt,
didn't
but he
have
did
that
play
great
for
of a
the Eagles.
career. He did play well. Like he was on the roster, but he didn't play.
I know he has a brother.
I think he was cut after 1 year. He does, yes. I think his name's Mike. Cool. All right, let's
Wait a
let's go. Let's go to
I think I
Joe
got
in
bad
Jersey.
information
Joe, what's
there.
going on?
He said he never played,
Hey,
but
how
he
you
did
doing,
play
guys?
for the Eagles.
Oh, wait
He
a
didn't
minute.
play
Wait
for
a
the Eagles. Like he
Yes,
didn't.
he did. He had 14 carries for the
You
Eagles.
wouldn't have gotten it anyway.
You said he didn't play for
Well, you
him.
guys didn't
I
know.
knew
You
Tony Hunt played for him.
No, you didn't. You had no idea.
Yes, huh?
Tony Hunt was not
All
in
right,
your
Joe,
mind.
kill this one. You're with
Come on,
with
Joe.
John.
Joe, you're playing with John. This guy he's not played in Philly, so there's your first hint. Okay. But this guy is the bane of Phillies fans' minds because of the fact that he outdueled Roy Halladay in the 2011 NLDS.
Oh.
Come on, you know that.
Well, you can answer it.
Is it Carpenter?
Yes,
Yes,
Chris
Carpenter.
Carpenter.
Is correct.
Very good.
Good job, buddy.
You're going to win the pair of tickets to go see Nate Bargatze on March 7th at Wells Fargo Center. Some tickets still remain at wellsfargocenterphilly.com.
Okay.
Get a couple more in here. Let's go to Tim in West Deptford.
Timmy's playing with Bobby.
What do you say, Tim?
Hey, Bob, let's go, buddy.
All right, we'll try. We'll see what we got
Bobby,
here.
you know this all too well because when this guy would run the football, Eagles fans would yell, "Roll it."
That would be LeGarrette Blunt.
LeGarrette Blunt is correct.
Nice.
Smoke up, Bobby. Pair of tickets to go see Kings of Leon on September 23rd at the Mann Center. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. All right, let's get one more in here. Let's go to Robert in Philly.
What's up, Robert?
What's going on, guys?
All right. So, Johnny, this guy was the only rookie. I'm sorry, he wore 29 as a rookie with the Eagles. But then he switched his number. And he was involved in one of the most lopsided Eagles trades in probably history, but the trade went down within the last 15 years.
One of the most lopsided?
Yes, lopsided Eagles trades happened in the past 15 years.
Oh, wait a minute. Malcolm Jenkins. It's wrong.
Wasn't
That's
a
it.
trade.
That's not it either, yeah.
Correct answer is
Sorry.
LaShawn McCoy.
Oh, shady.
Look, we got to get one more in here. We got to go to Deke in
Let's
North
do it.
Wales to
All
try
right,
to finish
Deke,
on a
come
strong
on.
note.
Let's finish on a strong note, Deke.
Let's do it, guys. Come
All
on
right.
now.
All right.
Deke.
All right, Bobby, this guy is currently in the secondary, and he currently wears number 29 with the Eagles, and he's currently a starter.
That would be. God, I'm so bad with numbers with current team.
Well, starter
Come on,
in the
Deke.
secondary.
Starter in the secondary. Deke, who do we got? It's not Bradbury. It's not Slay. It's
Maddox, right?
There it is. I didn't know that's weird. I wouldn't have got that he was 29. Good job, Deke.
Tickets to go see the Flyers and Senators on Saturday at Wells Fargo. Get tickets at PhiladelphiaFlyers.com for all your Flyers.
When you
needs.
hear someone's name is Deke,
I think barbecue.
see, now I think, that's a great thing to think of, Pat. I think of a guy who would have a great left hook. That Deke would walk into the bar and you'd be like, okay, I ain't messing with Deke.
Deke, I don't know any.
Deke's not 5'3".
Wow.
Deke,
Wow.
that's not
5'3".
No, I
Yeah,
mean like
right.
Deke,
I'll show you a Deke right now, bud.
Yeah.
Deke's got a.
Deke seems to be a nickname for a guy that was a really good running back.
That's not a bad
He
one.
could
either.
Deke you.
Or Deacon. That's a great name.
Deacon's a good name.
Great name.
Yeah.
I mean, really, really strong name.
Pat, did your parents have any other names for you besides Pat? Do you know?
Mistake.
I don't even know why I go to him sometimes.
Listener doesn't either.
Yeah. You weren't a mistake. You were the only one. If you want to look at mistake, look at somebody whose closest sibling is 8 years older than him,
Hey.
and that's me.
How about 6 years and 4 months?
Guys, it's not
There
a
you go.
competition.
Yes, it is. I win.
6 years, 4 months, and I can trace it also to a blizzard in March.
Oh, we didn't need to go there, John.
I'm just thinking maybe that.
Was your dad an envelopesman?
No.
Okay.
Tom was he was the guy exactly the opposite. Tom Kincade would be the guy that we'd be getting ready to go down the shore. And that's pretty much that was pretty much what vacation was, go down the shore. My dad was the guy that we would be in the car. He would lift the hood to check the oil. We were packed. The car was packed. We're in. He's checking the oil. Then he'd be like, I have to make a stop at the post office to tell them to hold the mail. And
Wow.
we're in the car and it's packed. And he's driving up to the Broomall post office to go in and say, hold the mail. Then he'd have to, I got to make one more thing. I might have to hit the Mac machine. Like my dad would have, his to-do list would be, all you want to do is just get on the Black Horse Pike or whatever it was to get down to the shore.
Uh-huh.
Tom was not planned.
No.
I'm planned.
Yeah.
Not happening with my
He's the
family.
opposite of you.
Exact opposite. And his son, his namesake, Doc, is a lot like him.
Is he really?
Oh, yeah. Doc's not like we're totally different as far as planning, those type of things. He's more like you. Just sort of more easygoing. I don't have to worry about the plan. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm vastly, like my wife takes care of everything. I'm not going to deny that. She does everything. I don't do much of anything. But I also don't hinder the plans. Like, yeah, she'll plan out weeks in advance about vacation. I'll plan out that day, and it'll be fine. I'm not going to, delay the family or anything like that.
Right.
Like, if they say we're leaving at 9 o'clock, I'm the one standing out at the car at 9 o'clock saying, let's go, let's go.
You'd be proud of me of this. I have not. It's an all-inclusive, so
Right.
like, I have not made any dinner reservations, which you can call and say, you can call and say, can you make us dinner reservations with the? I'm like, no. We'll figure it out the day. The
Look
day's
at
up.
you going all
Look,
willy-nilly.
That's willy-nilly, being
Oh,
wild.
wow.
Bob wants to talk about wishes. We all have wishes in life. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic.
and WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia. A Beasley Media Group station. Broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios. Powering possibilities. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. The John Kincade Show with Bob Cooney and Pat Egan continues. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
We appreciate you being a part of our show. John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. We love having you hang out. MBG's with us. Pat's not wearing a hat, which is throwing me off.
I got it. I just haven't put it on.
Yeah.
The hair looks fantastic today. So I mean, it's not like you need that.
No, I grabbed it. Like I was kind of leaving the house late, shocking there, and I grabbed it, and then just on my walk to the car, I never put it on, and then I grabbed it on the way in. Like I've been kind of a mess this whole week, so I just haven't put it on.
This week?
You know, Bob.
Did
yes,
I
was
Was that
thinking.
necessary?
I
That
thought
was
my mic was
unnecessary.
I
off.
thought my mic.
Sorry.
No, actually, Bob.
My
But
bad.
it's been the one time your mic hasn't been off. Got him.
That's very good. You
Yeah,
got
that's
him.
good, Pat.
Got him on that one.
Cooked your ass, Bob.
Now, one of the things though is that Bob is like, you know, you've heard of the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah, that's how I got the job.
I didn't realize that. They
Yeah.
thought it was only going to be for a few weeks. Huh?
Yeah, they thought it was like dwarfism or
Yeah.
something, but no,
It
just
didn't
short.
work that way. We all have wishes, right, Bob? I mean, you're a guy that's all about the wishes.
Yeah, and it's just weird how it comes about. So I have a daily routine that at 3:30, 4 o'clock, I clean the kitchen really well to get ready to make dinner, right? Because the kids are home. Some of them are home during the day, some are not, and they're not the best at it. So I clean the kitchen. While I'm doing that, I'll put music on my phone just to help me through it, right? So yesterday I heard a song and I said, you know what? Do you remember when Billy Joel and Elton John toured together?
Yes.
And it was like a dueling piano thing.
Yes.
I have always, and I toyed with it a little bit, and my parents were going to get me lessons, but they didn't because they couldn't afford it. I always wanted to learn how to play the piano better. I could play a little bit, but so I was fascinated, so I put them on and just watched them play the piano. So I thought to myself, God, I wish, and I still might. At some point in my life, I might take piano lessons. But is there something in... Yeah. Oh, God,
I didn't know you were still thinking about doing that.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
I still have a lot of list of things I want to do. But is there something sports-wise that you couldn't do well that you wish you could do?
Something
and I'm not saying...
sports-wise.
Yeah, like, look, I'm not saying, I wish I could hit a baseball 600 feet. Of course, like, yeah. But is there something in sports, or maybe out of sports, maybe it's like playing the piano, that you wish you could do really well? And I don't mean professional level or anything like that, just very well.
I am, I usually write down a score with a 9 in front of it, to play golf. I wish I could play really exceptional golf. Like, and I've never done the things that you need to do to get to that level, but I've always been sort of middle of the pack with the guys that I play with. I'm not the best. I'm certainly not the worst. I sort of hang in the middle. And so to me, I've always wanted to say, I had one magical day on the golf course in my life when I was playing a lot of golf and shot 79. I would love to be a guy who shot around 80 every round.
I think of it that way also. Like, I would like to play golf as good as the best person I ever played with.
That's fun. Yeah, they're fun.
Now,
Absolutely.
I didn't play with a pro or anything like that. There is this one guy who I played with. He just was consistent, and he was good and probably shot like, a 77 or something like that. I would like to be able to play golf like that. Yeah, that's a good one.
You're not saying Tiger. You're saying
No,
the best guy
Yeah.
you've ever played with. Right.
My other thing is about one of you two, but I'll let Pat go first. Go ahead.
I would like golf was actually my first thought. Like I would like to be just like a scratch golfer, because I am so far from that. But
You're getting better though.
I would like to not be a locker room guy and just be good at hockey. And that's not. I'm a locker room guy. I'm a glue guy. I just show up, tell a couple jokes. Some people shine on the ice, other people shine in the locker room. I'd like to actually be known for being good at the sport.
I would like to editorially insert here that a few of my neighbors that have played with Pat have said that Pat downplays his abilities on the air and that he's better than he claims he
No,
is. They're not liars, Pat.
they are.
They aren't.
They are. They were paid off.
Why would they
were
want
paid
to
off
say
by-
something nice about
They were
you?
paid off by big beer league hockey.
Here might be my biggest sports thing, and I'll equate it to one of you guys. I wish I could skate as good as Pat.
Pat skates
I've never
beautifully.
seen
He
you
skates beautifully.
skate.
No, he skates beautifully.
I can't skate for crap. I'm one of those guys that's like just trying to stay on my feet.
He skates beautifully.
I would love to be able to. My brother was a really good skater. I would love to be able to put on a pair of skates, Pat, and be able to skate like
Dude,
you.
I want to bring you guys to one of my games so you can see like the actual guys who you think I am.
I'm not
No,
talking
no,
about.
he's not
I don't care
comparing
about
you to
other
somebody
guys.
else.
I appreciate it, but like, yeah, it's not easy. And you do take solace when you see other guys who kind of are chopping onions out there. But you just gotta practice, Bobby. You just gotta get out there and.
I think my days are
You think-
done.
you think
Pat,
it's
yeah.
over?
See,
I
now
don't think my skating days are still there, but I'll give it a try. I don't care.
I've seen a million guys that can shoot a basketball. And we would play games as a kid of 21 around the world, those kind of games. And in those shooting games, I could do pretty well. I would love to have been able to be a ball handler. I would love to have
Yeah,
been
me
able
too.
to. I would love to have been able to be a ball handler where, like, I could have, Mr. DeJulia would have played me late in a CYO game at St. Annie's, or my brother would have let me play in a crunch time situation when he coached. I would have loved to have been able to do that. And again, though, I have nobody to blame but myself because I never put the work in to do that. And we'd go to the basketball courts all the time. And what would I do? We'd play shooting games.
Yeah.
We wouldn't play one-on-one. We wouldn't play. We'd waste time doing shooting games. So I never got better at that.
I told you, it's funny how things in, like, especially sports, at least in my world, and I think a little bit in your guys' world, it all comes around. We tease about how many people you know and
Sure.
And all that. But so I told you my wife was cleaning out something or whatever and found my scrapbook that my dad made me the other day, right? So it's been laying on the couch down in her office. I haven't looked at it or anything like that. I get a call last night from my friend Joe, and we're just going back and forth about sports. And then he's like, Coon, I need something from you. I said, what's up? He goes, is there any chance you may know your varsity records from when you played freshman to senior year? Like, Joey, he's never asked me something like that. And my scrapbook just so happened to pop up 3 days ago. That has all of that in there. Like, I think sports is odd in that. Like, why did that question come up just 2 days after I saw my scrapbook for the first time in 10, 15 years? Like, it's just so weird. I just think sports is so intertwined in a strange way. Like, I thought of skating. Skating is one thing I would love to have done. I wish to God I could skate as well as Pat.
I think,
Like,
I think
it all
Pat,
comes together.
because it is a skill set that it's sort of like your piano thing. Is that, again, guys who could play an instrument or guys who could be in a band or whatever, I always admired it.
Yeah.
Because to me, I do not have, again, everything with me in life has been practice. I would rather do something. If I'm good at something, I want to do it all the time. If I'm not good at something, I want to go back to doing what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Whereas instead of saying, devote the time to get better at something, I would rather not do it. My wife says, when people go, oh, well, there was a problem with the sink, or and Christina's the type to go get a YouTube channel and watch a video and figure out how to do something.
Yeah.
And I'm the type to Google and say, it's called Len the Plumber.
Yeah, that's what phone books are for. we used to always say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to me, but the thing is, I could easily do it. I just things that I'm not skilled at. I've never, and that is that's a huge weakness.
There's
by the way.
two things in life that I might not be good at that I love doing. One is playing golf, and the other one you guys can figure out.
Well, exactly. Well, you had to be okay at it at least.
What's the
I
other
don't
one?
care.
There's a little dated.
Confused.
There's a little dated to say you were okay at it, maybe.
Yeah.
A little dated.
What is it?
The 9 a.m. hour is brought to you by the Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. For details, go to Bagster.com. I just got to laugh because there is a guy who Do you ever have an analyst or someone in sports that you deeply respect their opinions on like X's and O's and things like that? And then when you hear them talk about anything else, you just go, this person's a psychopath. This is really weird. This person just like you value their opinion. You say this person knows their stuff. And then you hear them talk about other things and you go, okay, this person is freaking out of their minds. Jay Billis is one of those people. And when I used to do my show on ESPN Radio on Sunday mornings, Jay Billis used to be part in college basketball season. Every other week I had Jay Billis on. Some of the most interesting conversations, some of the most informative conversations. I thought he was freaking brilliant. I heard Jay Billis the other day, though, sometimes, like, he won't follow anyone on Twitter, Pat. Did you know that?
I did, and after being on Twitter for a while, I understand why.
Because he says nobody is worth following. He believes in his own thoughts and his own beliefs, so he doesn't need to follow anyone else to get theirs. I think that is the height of arrogance. Like, to me, I'm glad to follow a lot of bright people in sports and everything, and other people in my industry, to learn from them, to hear from them, to interact. But Jay said about the court storming, which was the huge clutch your pearls topic of the week, where people were like, we have to ban court storming because a Duke player got knocked over and he's so tragically injured. And he wasn't. He played, didn't miss a game. And Jay Billis says, I know how we fix this. They should come in and put a rope around the entire court, and every one of those kids should be arrested. That would solve it. I've never heard such just ridiculous, over-the-top stuff like court stormers should be arrested. And I ask you, there are fans who deserve to be arrested. There are fans there are fan behavior. But as ludicrous as it sounds, every one of those kids, the cops should come in, and he says, and put a rope around them, and every kid should be arrested.
Get a citation, right?
Yeah, that should stop them. Give them a misdemeanor, and that'll stop court storming. And I was like, oh, my gosh, get off my lawn, Grandpa. But I go, okay, is there fan behavior that you think, as silly as Jay Billis wanting every court stormer arrested, that you would want? I have a couple. I have a couple in my mind.
I have one
What is yours?
That we can outlaw it. It might be sacrilege to some, but I think you both will agree. The wave.
Oh, the wave's terrible.
The wave is
it's so
a stupid thing that, for whatever reason, at any sporting event I'm at, when it starts, my anger level rises to an unhealthy level. Like, I could fully expect myself going out at Citizens Bank Park because I'm just clutching my chest with a heart attack because I'm yelling at people to sit down and stop pretending to be the ocean. But to me, it's like you're telling everybody, I am so bored watching this product.
I'm not here for the game.
That I would rather pretend to be the Adriatic Sea than actually pay attention to a baseball game. And I mean, you can like immediately tell like who's into the game and who just got free tickets from their boss. But it's like, oh, look, here it comes. Ah! It's, oh my God, it drives me nuts. That we can absolutely put to rest.
You could arrest that. You could say, if you were Jay Billis, you'd say arrest that person. Whoever starts the wave,
them.
And then everybody who does it.
Yes. And ban them for life.
Them.
Ban them for life and send them to Guantanamo.
I've got one, and thankfully he's not around anymore where I have to hear it. I used to have the Sunday ticket plan. That was my Sunday season tickets. All I could afford when I was here as a young man in business world. I had Philly season tickets and I had a Sunday plan. Everybody hits, woohoo!
I actually like that
Everybody
guy.
hits, woohoo!
I'll tell you why I like that guy.
And it would just, oh my gosh.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I like that guy. Because if I say everybody hits at a baseball game and I hear back some woohoos, I know that those people are the real fans. Because that was in the 04, 05, 06 when the team was coming up, but they still weren't good. When the team was going through a drought of not being in the playoffs for more than a decade. And to me, that is a sign of, okay, you were here before they won a championship. Now, I understand a lot of people found that guy annoying, and I understand why you found it annoying. But to me, that's a sign to me of, like, you are a real fan. You were watching some of these bad players. You were out there with Marlon Anderson. Was slinging a bat for the Phils.
When they came up with the MLB ticket, so I moved south, and they come up with the MLB tickets so you could see every Phillies game. You could see every sporting event you wanted to see just by the price. It would be I was like, oh, God, I'm home. I'm home. I'm hearing the everybody hits woohoo. Or the person who in the middle of the inning decides to get up because they've got to get up for the third time to go, can everybody in the aisle stand up? Because I'm sitting in the middle of the aisle, and I got to go get my third hot dog or third beer and keep going back and forth. Not watching the game.
No, they're
just
hungry.
going
They're
back
thirsty.
and forth.
Yeah.
That's a person I'd gladly, if Jay Billis, have them arrested before the court stormers. Those people. Do people not, like, you don't get bothered or anything at games, Bob, by any of these people?
No.
Not at all?
I don't. I laugh at you guys. Yeah, the wave I think is silly and it's stupid, and if people get
Do you ever
joy out of it-
participate?
No.
I do not either.
No. I've had this thing before that if a fan wants to curse at a player, let him go stand right in front of the player and say it to his face. I would love to see that.
Oh, I'd love that.
Hey, yo, you there, row 11, seat 7? Did you just tell somebody to go F themselves? Come here.
Let's bring him down.
Yeah, LeBron wants to say hi to you. Go ahead, say it right to his face. Like
I'd love that.
Yeah, that's one that I always wanted because I never understood the personal attacks when it came to sports. You're there for fun. Yeah, you invest a lot of money and a lot of emotion in it, probably. But to take it to the personal level, A, I never understood it. B, I think that should be, something that's outlawed. Because how people just don't remember that there's kids around or respectability of others or anything like that. You're there to have fun and enjoy. And if your team loses and you don't enjoy it, okay, don't take it out on I don't know.
I just got a text from my buddy Dave who said my other one, because he agreed with the wave. So my other one is people streaking or running on the field. Like, don't do it. It's idiotic. It messes with the timing. It makes everybody stop, and then you're focused on it. It's just stupid. You got guys getting tased. I wish they would really crack down on it. I don't know about at times it's kind of amusing, but I know what he's saying. Like, it does mess with timing. Like in the playoffs, I hate it.
Well, did you see what happened with the Super Bowl guy?
No.
There was a streaker at the Super
do know
Bowl.
that.
Well, he had placed a wager.
Yeah.
He placed a wager on, is there going to be a streaker at the Super Bowl, put money down,
And he
wound up making like $30,000 or something and had to pay a $1,000 fine.
no, but they're not paying him.
Of course they're not.
They rejected the
that's-
casino.
Oh, did they
Of
really?
course they did.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because he did
That's
it.
so dumb.
By the way, Joe, who has seen you play hockey,
He tried.
Pat, one of my neighbors,
I know
has
Joe.
seen you play hockey.
Yeah.
Joe says fans at Citizens Bank Park throwing back opposing home run balls. He'd be all for Jay Billis getting them arrested. He said that's a Cubs thing. Stop bogarting it.
That's not
That is
bad.
not a Phillies thing. And by the way, it was never done. And it's only in the modern era of Citizens Bank Park has that been done. That was not done. It hasn't been done for 30 years here, 40 years here.
No,
whatever.
I would say it started at Citizens Bank Park, I think.
Yeah.
Like when that opened, I think is
Right.
when it started happening. Yeah, that's a good one because you're stealing some other
somebody
fans'
else's
great thing. Like the Yankees fans doing the cheer for each individual player until they wave. I love that. I think that is you know what I'm talking about, right, Pat?
I do, yeah.
Yeah,
The roll call. The roll call's cool.
I think that's genius.
Yeah, roll call is cool, and I don't want to see it in Philly because it's like their
No,
thing. But
it
it's
is
one of
their thing.
I'll tell you one thing that I wish to God we'd adopt in Philly, which I think is one of the coolest things in sports that no one talks about. Texas A&M, and it's different because it's college baseball, but Texas A&M, if you walk a guy on 4 straight balls,
Okay.
the fans at Texas A&M will serenade the opposing pitcher with ball 5, and if he throws ball 5, then it's ball 6, and they can rattle a dude by doing
That's
this.
pretty cool.
And it is, when you see it get up to like ball 9, it is incredible. Because it's just, it's kind of that Brett Myers at bat with CC where like the fans are really starting to feel like they're having an impact. And it's really, really cool to see. And I don't think it would happen in Major League Baseball like it does in college because obviously these guys are pros, but it would just be so cool to see 4 straight balls. All right, let's just rattle this dude
just
by
keep doing
reminding
it.
him. Yeah, here comes ball 6, there comes ball 7. It's an awesome thing to see.
I don't like it when one fan base copies another fan base.
No.
Part of dancing on my own. Part of the gripe. It's not a Phillies thing. It's a Red Sox thing that the Phillies bogart. Like that is I like come up with your own stuff. Come up and be original. And by the way, yes, that song has been a 2-time loser, and I hope it doesn't come back for a 3rd time.
Yeah, I think it. I think it's
that
been
is
laid to
played
rest.
out.
Here's another one. Somebody just sent me. Face painters, done.
Oh, yeah.
Especially over the age of 25. That's
Now, that's a little odd.
Now, I have one. I have a rule that I wouldn't mind at all sporting venues, and you guys are going to think I'm nuts because of the person that I am.
Okay.
Can you guess what it is, Pat?
I can't.
I wouldn't mind at all. And look, there is nothing I like more than going to a baseball game in the middle of the summer and having one, but I wouldn't mind at all if alcohol was banned from all games.
Really?
I wouldn't. Like, I don't, tailgating, great. You tailgate for every sport you want, all that stuff. And I love going to a baseball game in the summer. It's funny. Me, Don, and we took our son Tommy to a game this past summer, right? So we're sitting there all game. About the sixth inning, I got up to go get something. I come back, and I had a beer in my hand. She goes, "You couldn't go one game without having a beer, could you?" And I go, I just wanted one. Like, I'm at the baseball game. I had one beer. That's it. But yeah, I really would. It would solve a lot of problems. Now, the economy of the place wouldn't allow because they make tons and tons of money. But think about it. I mean, like, you can't sit somewhere for 2.5, 3 hours without having a drink.
I got it. I understand it.
And
it's
it probably lends. I'm sorry, John. It probably lends to some bad behavior.
No, it's where it is. I've never had a beer. I have never had a beer in the seating section of an Eagles game. The only sport.
Yeah, when I go to Eagles games, I don't drink beer. No.
The only sport that I've ever had a beer in the seating section is a baseball game.
Baseball, it's like summertime.
Draft beer,
I love that.
One draft beer. Give me a nice one. Jackson joins us. Jackson, good morning. You're on the Fanatic.
Hey, guys. What's up, man?
What's
How you
going
doing,
on,
buddy?
Good. What about, like, the Nashville Predators throwing the catfish on the ice, and that would be
yeah.
Detroit Red Wings octopus thingies?
Yeah, the octopus thing's legendary. That was such a cool thing, and they still do it.
I didn't realize
that's
the
bad.
catfish, was it?
The catfish?
Oh, okay. So they throw the catfish. By the way, catfish is delicious if it's prepared well.
Yeah, catfish is good. Octopus isn't bad. I never
little
understood
chewy.
the octopus. Like who walks in with an octopus?
How do you get it in?
I'm not a huge fan of the hats on the ice for a hat trick.
Oh, I like that. Because that's not you're not stealing it from anybody else.
Oh, I've seen video of guys grab the hat from the guy in front of them and throw it on the guy, turn around and pop him.
Oh, that happened last week in Toronto. Austin Matthews scored a hat trick, and this guy was in like the lower level, and the guy behind him grabbed his hat and threw it on the ice. And it was like not a hat that like Bob's wearing. It's just like a baseball hat. Like it was like a nicer hat. And
what happened?
Well, I mean, people were saying like that dude should have been clocked because it's a JO move. It is a JO move. Like, come on, man. If I want to throw my hat, I can throw my hat. I kind of like the hat trick thing though.
Yeah,
I do. I think it's pretty cool. Like when you walk in the Wells Fargo Center and they have that display, and pretty much every arena has them now. But you have that display of all the hats there, and they have the date, and I think that's awesome. Yeah, it's pretty cool to go, oh, yeah, I remember that hat trick, this hat trick. I think it's cool.
I'll tell you what, we were talking about the building yesterday. If people haven't been in the Wells Fargo Center lately with all the upgrades, it is really nice in there. And they have a lot of the sections from all over the Delaware Valley. You'll see, like, Kensington, it'll have pictures, and Lower Merion and pictures, Cherry Hill pictures. It's really, really cool walking the concourse of the Wells Fargo Center with the way they've really brightened it up. And believe it or not, John, I am really getting my ass kicked on YouTube right now for suggesting no alcohol at games.
Yeah, I think now.
I'm not suggesting it. I'm saying, like, I would understand it if it was done.
But Andrew Salchunas thinks you're a big loser, too.
I don't care. Good. That proves my point.
Hey, Golf Nut on Twitter says no adult over 18 should bring a glove to a baseball game. I love that one, too.
That's not bad.
I love that. Or I don't think adult males should be lining up along the line asking players for autographs.
Yeah.
Let the kids do that. You're a grown freaking man.
You're
a grown man.
Anybody above 25 that catches a foul ball needs to find a younger kid to give it to.
Pat says that Howie Roseman, my bragging on him for taking accountability, he can read between the lines. We'll get to that next. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic. Full house today at the Fanatic.
Yeah, a lot of good faces here today.
Andrew Saltunis will come your way at the top of the hour.
And him, too.
With Ray Dunn. That'll be great.
Ray's a little down and out today.
Because of the girls?
Yep, Temple women with a tough loss last night. So it's funny. Ray walked in right away. I said, "What's the matter with you?" "Nothing. Why?" I said, "Ray, I can tell something's wrong." No, nothing's wrong. And then we finally got it out of him that Temple women lost last night on his call, so he's not happy.
Well, I'm a little pissed. In fact, I may take some points off the midterm grades. I put the midterm grades in. I'm going to have to ask Dean Boardman if I can change the midterm grade.
Do you think Dean Boardman, is that his name, Boardman?
He listens, yes.
Does he get pissed off that you're always bothering him?
No, I don't really
Do
know.
the other teachers bother him?
I don't know. I may reach out, though.
I think you reach out too often, that he gives an eye roll when he sees your text.
I may reach out on this one because, and you can give a ruling, is that it was Dollar Dog night last night for the Temple women.
Oh, it was.
Ray
I didn't
Dunn's
know
on
that.
the call. So I told 5 of my students were going over afterwards. I got them out. They did their midterm. They did great. Their project was spectacular. Gave them all a perfect score. And then said, let's go on. They went over to the women's game. So on the way in, it was Dollar Dog night. And I said, how many of you? There were 5 of them. I reached into my wallet, took $10. I said, here, you guys go check in with Ray Dunn. Make sure you check in with Ray Dunn. And I said, and get you each of you can get 2 hot dogs. So I said to Ray, did the boys check in with you? And they all did check in. So Ray tells me they checked in. And I said, yeah. And I said, and I bought them dinner too. And he goes, oh, they didn't mention that. Kincade told us to come and see you, but we didn't mention that. And I'm like, it's sort of like the big salad with Elaine on Seinfeld. Like, you know, they should have mentioned that their Dollar Dogs were funded by their professor. I would think that'd be the kind thing to do.
Nah,
they
didn't have to.
Pat,
no, they did what they had to do.
I would have. Yeah, I'm a big give credit and the full story to people. So I would have.
See, Pat would have gotten. I wouldn't be adjusting Pat's grade.
I'm not taking credit for that because that's just me though. I mean,
you're not that guy.
I'm not.
You're not that guy.
Because my fear with that was, and I had an incident when I was an intern here, where like somebody asked me to do something, I wasn't sure how to do it. I went back and Ryan Spillman, who was a producer here for a long time, he helped me. He showed me how to like loop the audio.
Okay.
And I came back and John Marks was the producer at the time, and John was like, "Dude, that was great." And it was that moment of like, I could take credit for this.
Oh,
but if he finds out from Spillman that I didn't do it, that looks bad on me.
That looks bad on you.
I just was like, yeah, dude, I got to be honest, man. I didn't really do it. It was Spillman. He showed me how to do it. And Marks was like, "You're an idiot. You could have just taken credit for it. I would never would have known." But I didn't want to. But
you were a man of accountability.
I didn't want to. It wasn't even accountability. It was more of like, I don't want to get caught in a lie, and it was a selfish reason. It wasn't like a moral thing. It was selfish.
Well, I lead you right to accountability because it was in your notes about Howie Roseman. And yesterday, by the way, you talked about the no alcohol at the games, and you're taking bullets. Man, did I take grief yesterday going, man, you just like her licking Howie's boots today. Giving him credit, how much you give credit to Howie Roseman for accountability. I do. I like it when someone can sit there and say, I failed at this, I didn't do well at this, I need to do better at this. I do. I don't think it's just speak. I think it actually means something. But, Pat, you might read between the lines a little better than I do on this one. As to why Howie.
Yesterday you were big into the Howie Roseman accountability thing and why Nick Sirianni wasn't kind of taking the blame. And it was something you did say. You kind of said it in passing, but I was thinking it beforehand. I, like probably you guys, like I'll write show notes down as the show's going on for topics. So I wrote this down and you brought it up. I think the reason why Howie Roseman was so willing to be accountable is because that dude's job security is fine. Right now, he's Teflon. He's not going anywhere. Nick Sirianni had to go hat in hand and beg for his job and basically was like, I'll do whatever you want. You want me to be rah-rah guy? You want me to be a head coach? You just want me to be there and be a security guard?
Okay.
Sure. No problem. And I think that's why he doesn't want to highlight mistakes. Whereas Howie Roseman, yeah, you're willing to highlight mistakes because you're good. You're not going anywhere. You're not getting fired tomorrow.
You're not worried about where the next meal's coming from.
You're not worried about getting fired the next year. You're solid in where you're at. So, yeah, you can point out all your mistakes. No problem. Nick Sirianni, like, if I were him, I might be a little hesitant to point out my mistakes after last year and after the fact that I had to go in and kind of beg to keep my job. Yeah, I might be a little hesitant to go,
That's not bad.
I messed up. So I'm wondering if this would have happened a year ago and Nick Sirianni gets up there and things, obviously, like, it doesn't go the way it went this past year, but things happened. And he gets up there. I bet you he's probably more willing to be accountable for things that happened last year because they were coming off a Super Bowl because his job security was intact than this year where you've got people like me going, I don't know why we brought him back. I don't know what he does.
I think it's a great – because I mentioned that just in passing, and honestly, it does make sense. But I wonder, too, if I have somebody who works for me, works with me, is an executive over me or otherwise, that has the type of attitude that they step up there and publicly take blame, publicly say, I should have been better, I could have done better. To me, I admire them more, and I want to work for that guy more. I want to work with that person more. I believe that they are the kind of leader that I would greatly associate with.
I just look at it as being honest and saying something that's like no
Sherlock?
no crap.
Is Sherlock in on that one?
We have to do better. I have to do better. We were really
made a
bad.
but he
after
made
7.
a mistake letting all the guys go out the door. He said, I let some good players go out the door.
Yeah.
And maybe that was a mistake. I mean, like he measured. Nick Sirianni did none of that. All he did
Pat's
was
got a good point. I mean, who is he to say anything like that? He doesn't have enough gravitas here yet. Right?
Nick's prattling on about his core values. Core values. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I heard Andrew going through that yesterday.
He's Tony Robbins.
That was pretty funny.
He thinks he's Tony Robbins.
Yeah, he's real close to being kind of on most people's nerves, I would say. And yeah, does that come with going 1-7 in the 1-6 in the last 7 games? Absolutely, it does. What was quirky before can become annoying really quickly when you're not winning, right?
Yes, absolutely, no question.
And that's the line that he's towing.
And I'm not out on him at all. I'm really not. Like I can't say that I'm all in though. It's one of those things where I'm sort of non-committal. But if you said to me, should Nick Sirianni be fired? I say no.
I'll tell you what. You asked a question earlier to Andrew when we had him on, and he answered it so quickly, and I'm glad we can revisit this. You said something about the improvement of the Eagles from last year. It shouldn't be hard to improve what they were the last 7 games of the season because they, in my estimation that I said to you guys, I think they were the worst team in football there towards the last part of the season. Can we easily say, would you guys easily say that they're going to win more than 11 games this year?
Easily, no.
Yeah, like they could be 11-6 this year and be a lot better than they were last year. You know, you play even football and you're 11-6 and okay, you show some things, whatever. But when you asked it and Andrew said so quickly, oh yeah, they're going to be better, I was kind of surprised at that answer. And he reasoned it out by saying, you know, the coordinators will have these guys in better places to be than the coordinators of last year, and that's right. That's probably true. He's right, and they probably will look better on the field. But are they going to get more than 11 wins? If I ask you that right now, what's your answer?
Yes.
Pat, what do you think? Are they going to get more than 11 wins next year?
I lean towards
12-5 is a really good record.
I lean towards yes, because their defense can't get worse.
And
Okay.
I believe the offense
But the
will be
defense
better.
was good enough to get you to 10-1. Like somehow, some way, the defense was good enough in the NFL to get you to 10-1. So, was there a major fall off? Yes. But I find it interesting. I'd love to put that out there to people. I wonder, like, okay, are they going to be better? The majority answer is yeah, they're going to be better than last year.
But they could have the same record and be a better team.
They could.
Like Liv said to me something. I was driving her back to school one day, the day we were listening to Nick Sirianni at the end of the season press conference, the disaster day. And as she's listening to him, she goes, Dad, I know how you feel about how the season went. But if they had lost 1 game in September, 2 games in October, 1 game in November.
Right.
And they had the same record, what would you think of it? I said, I'd feel 100% better about it. Because 1-6 is 1-6. Like, It matters.
And that's
how you get there matters.
Yeah, and that's what weighs heavily on everybody's mind. And I understand that. I totally understand those last 7 games are what's, but I thought of that when you mentioned improvement, and fine, Andrew's answer was great. And then I just thought to myself as the show was going on, are they going to win more than 11 games next year? Because when you look at that defense and you might be losing your best player, I don't know.
I can promise you right now, when the BetParks app puts it up, I will be betting NFC East champions. And if the number is, I would imagine their number is going to be 9.5.
That seems to be a popular
I would absolutely
suggestion.
bet that. I would bet that over as quickly as they got it, so it didn't go up to 10. Because I hate pushes on over/under bets. I don't like the push. So to me, I would absolutely want to have it. If it's 9.5, I will jump on that so fast.
Now okay, let me do this to you. What if what if Hassan Reddick doesn't come back? Are you still at 9.5 so easily?
I'll bet it over.
Okay.
I'm not doubt. Now the question is though, my confidence level. I better have seen something pretty amazing in free agency and the draft.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a stupid question posed by me, being before the draft and before every free agency. I don't think they're going to get a difference maker. You'll get starters because you have to. Difference maker, I don't know. Probably you'll get 2 or 3 guys on that defensive side of the ball that are going to be maybe 2 that are better than the people you had in there last year. I assume you're going to get a better linebacker. I assume one of your safeties is going to be better than the 2 you put out there last year. It's funny.
I get where you're at.
Yeah, it kind of stuck in my head. I wanted to get it out before we got the show done. Do you think they can win more than 11 games?
Yes, I really do. And part of the reason, though, is, and it's a bit of a cop-out, I think the Commanders are going to have a rookie quarterback. And Dan Quinn is a good coach. He's a good man, good coach. But I think it's going to be a work in progress.
Yeah, and they lost Eric Bieniemy, too. That's a big loss.
And the Giants are – and Eric Bieniemy is going to be the offensive –
yeah.
At USC, I guess, or UCLA. And then I don't believe the Giants have to pay – they have to play Daniel Jones. They're not going to pay him what they're paying him and have him not be their starter.
No, I think he's your starter, yeah.
And they're losing Saquon, and they're losing – I think part of it is it's almost like the Patriots back in the day. The Eagles are maybe not perfect, but they're distinctly better than 2 of the franchises in the division. And it'll just be Eagles-Dallas again. But I also love this about Dallas. Little note that yesterday I was talking to one of my buddies who does sports talk radio down in Dallas. Every coach on the coaching staff is on a 1-year contract. Their entire...
So they're coaching their balls off this year. That shouldn't be a good thing.
Yeah, but that's not usually a good thing as far as...
I hear you.
Every coach is on a 1-year contract. Imagine what every loss is going to be amplified. Every single time that Mike McCarthy loses a game, it's going to be, is Mike McCarthy getting fired? Who's taking the Cowboy job? I love that for the Eagles. Absolutely love it for the Eagles. That Jerry Jones is saying, sing for your supper to every single, even Mike Zimmer, he brings in as the new defensive coordinator. 1-year contract. That's bizarre to me. That's bizarre. It's arrogant. But Mike Zimmer wanted back in the NFL.
Yeah, so, like I say all the time, I can't even, after those last 7 games, I can't even start to look at other teams.
Oh, it's the truth,
Not
though.
even a little,
I got you.
I got to see this team get fixed and quickly. And, Andrew made a good point when he was on saying that the reason he thinks they're going to improve is because of the coordinators. It's a great point.
That's a huge point.
It looks like you have some stability there, which you obviously didn't have last year. But wow, 11 wins.
Yes, I'm absolutely, I'm really.
So you'll take the over 11.5. I'll take the under. We'll bet $1.
Okay, we'll absolutely do that. Pat, you are as confident.
I'm confident they can do that, but I'm not like.
You'll cover 50 cents of that bet.
Yeah, I'll throw that out there. Yeah, because I want to see it happen. So yeah.
We all want to see it happen.
It seems like the guy who's betting against it that wants to see it happen.
I'm not going to be upset if I lose my dollar. Let's put it that
Now-
way.
And that's my point. Is like,
Now,
that's my point.
Tim on
Good talk.
Tim on Twitter says that he goes, John, is it really a statement when you're confident about your team because you're not confident about others? It sounds like you're more confident they're going to be better because the other teams in their division suck.
No.
That's not a bad. He's making a valid point.
He is, but you're talking win totals.
Yeah, win
We
total-
weren't talking about the improvement of the team. That's what Andrew said. I brought up win totals specifically to you, and that's when you said, yeah, the other team. So you were equating it to, well, you're going to get at least a 1.5 against the Giants, a 1.5 against the Redskins. You know,
Right.
You'll probably battle Dallas. So that's how I thought you were equating. So I thought your equation
I'm looking
was
at
right.
it going, here come the wins. That's the way. I think you're in a good position in this division right now. And, man, I hope Washington drafts Drake May. Gosh, I hope they draft Drake May. I just really do. And Drake May is the kind of quarterback, the kind of thing that I think that Dan Quinn would look in his eyes and go, yeah, this is the kid. This is the kid. I'm begging, please. One thing I wanted to bring up, because he is the Sixers owner, is that it's very, very strange that Josh Harris has sat in and taken part in all the interviews that the team has conducted at the Combine.
The combine, yeah.
And that is not from different people, that's not exactly common practice because most owners don't attend the Combine. And Adam Schefter tweeting that out this morning. Is he, from your experience, hands-on like that with his basketball team and hockey team? Because I've never heard that.
I think he likes to be around. I think he likes to, you own the team. I'll tell you what, I can't say that I wouldn't be there either. I own the team. Sure, I want to sit in on meetings. I want to see what your thinking is. I want to see what's going on. I don't mind that at all. I don't think it's an interference.
So you don't see it
thing
as a red flag or anything?
No, not at all. I don't. I mean, the guy paid millions upon millions to be the owner of that team. Sorry, you can do whatever the hell you want.
When it's not,
I don't mind it. And you know what? If I'm a coach, I don't mind seeing how a kid reacts sitting in front of an owner. What's his? How does he handle himself sitting in front of an owner? No, I don't see anything wrong with it.
when it's not common practice, Pat, do you have any thoughts on that? Like when other owners don't do that?
I wouldn't do it as an owner, but I don't mind sitting in the room, as Bob said, just to get an idea of what the kid's reaction is. Like, if I'm an owner, I'll sit in the room. I'm not adding anything to the conversation. I'm not adding my opinion. I'm really just doing it to put the kid in an uncomfortable position of, by the way, there's the owner.
And you know what? I don't mind as a new owner and a new coaching staff that I'm observing how they're doing their job. How do you do in interviews? We're all looking at how did the kid do in the interview. I wouldn't mind knowing, hey, how did my coaches do interviewing?
Do you think though that if you were being your genuine self, do you think you're the same with the boss in the room?
I always try to be my genuine self. And I'm being honest. Like, it makes my life easier because that way I don't have to BS anything, and I am who I am. But what your question is what? If
our bosses were sitting in the room while we do radio shows.
Yeah, maybe because of my age now, and I am who I am, and I hope to God that's good enough for everybody in every, phase that I try to be a decent person. So, no, I don't think I would change.
It wouldn't affect you as far as like the idea of just somebody observing somebody, because you'd be wondering, well, what are they observing? What
I hear you.
What are they? Are they observing me, or are they observing the person who is here to do that I'm interviewing at the Combine? Like there's,
Yeah.
I would just be like that. And it would also depend on who it was. If it's let's say your boss comes in and your boss is highly skilled as far as understanding what the job is and everything like that. An owner comes in and I'm a football coach. I'm like, dude, you don't know football. You don't. You're an owner of a football team. You know business, and you're brilliant with business, obviously. But as far as
if I was a coach, would I mind my owner being there? Absolutely not.
So you wouldn't?
I really wouldn't. I wouldn't. I know what I'm there to do. I know how I want to do it. He hired me to do it the way I see fit. So why would I change? No, I really wouldn't. I wouldn't.
I told you before Arthur Blank in Atlanta. He owns that team, and he sends a limo for his coach. The coach comes down, has to have dinner with him, talk to him about the last week, the game prep, what went right, what went wrong, a review of things and everything, on a weekly basis. I'd never take that job. I would never work for him if I was a coach.
Because he wants to meet with you once a week?
Every single week and go, yeah, well, no, we have our scheduled meet. We're having dinner. You're going to explain to me, and you're going to explain to me, here was the game plan. Here's what went right. Here's what went wrong. I would, look, hire me to do a job, and let me do the damn job. I wouldn't want to be.
Here's how I look at it. How does that prohibit you from doing your job?
Because it's time out of a day as far as the coaches.
1 hour a week?
No, it's not an hour. Because, I mean, it would be.
Oh, I thought
he would send a limo to pick you up. He'd bring you to his foundation. They would have this dinner, meetings. And it would take, probably takes the coach away 2-3 hours of their day. And it would be
the guy that's signing my paycheck? Damn straight.
Wow. I would not like. Seriously, I wouldn't like it.
No, I just put it in the schedule.
That doesn't surprise me that Bob would be okay with that, because Bob is just kind of that breezy guy.
Well, if I don't like it every time, I'm sorry, Pat. Go ahead, finish what you're saying.
Well, it's a compliment to you, but it's like you're an easygoing guy.
Oh, well, then
like,
take your time.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, you're paying my paycheck. I'll talk to you. I think most NFL coaches though would find it annoying, and if it wasn't for the fact that there's 32 jobs, they probably would be like, dude, kick rocks.
I'll tell you a great story. The legendary Dan Reeves, coach for Arthur Blank, buys the Falcons. Michael Vick tears up his knee in preseason, and Dan Reeves is the head coach. And so the year that he's supposed to be proving himself to the new owner, Michael Vick he doesn't have. And they end up having a bad season. And around week 14, he calls him in on a Monday. Dan Reeves calls a meeting with the owner and says, I got word that you're calling around the league asking people about head coaching candidates. And he says, I don't know. Where'd you hear that? And he goes, I've been in this league forever. I heard about it. You're doing it. He goes, so fire me today. And he literally said, fire me. You're calling around the league looking for my replacement. Don't keep me around here as a lame duck, because people have ears, people hear things, so fire me today. So he shows up for his press conference that afternoon. He demands the owner fire him. And Mr. Blank came over and gave him notes and said, I wrote down some things you could say. And Dan Reeves took them and threw them in the trash can. And was he gives them notes like, here's what you should say about our amicable breakup. And he literally cranked it up, threw it in the trash can, and went on to a career in the media. And just retired from coaching and went on to a career in the media.
Yeah.
It was like, this is enough.
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with it.
And yeah, I can see that too. But no, if I'm a head coach and my owner, the guy that owns the team,
yes,
I wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for him, says, hey, I want to have dinner with you once a week and we can talk. And if he wants me to talk football and explain what I was doing, no problem. Because you know what? I love talking sports. And if I was the head coach of a basketball, baseball, football, hockey team, I wouldn't mind sitting and talking with somebody for an hour and a half, 2 hours, talking that sport, especially the guy that's signing my paycheck. So, no, absolutely not. I wouldn't have a problem with it.
What would be your first question, Pat, to not football related or a general question that you would ask to a prospect who you were interviewing at the Combine, if you were in a front office? And it's not a specific question about anything about their position group or anything like that.
Yeah. If you could have dinner with 5 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Stop.
Really?
Yeah, I always found that question interesting.
I like that question.
Yeah. So that would be mine. I don't know what I'm taking from it, but
you're hearing somebody.
I'm just hearing
on
someone
the fly.
explain to it, why they're picking who and whatnot, and so yeah, I'd find that. Apparently, in the NFL or not in the NFL, in the NHL, the big one is what animal would you be?
What animal?
Yeah, draft prospects talk about like the animal question. I guess in every single interview they get asked like, oh, if you could be an animal, what would it be? And teams are looking for like the tiger or the lion or.
Now, the weird thing is
alpha.
What popped into my head was a dog.
I'd want to fly, I think. I think I'd like to be like an eagle.
You'd want to fly like an eagle?
I'd want to fly. Although last night I watched Lion King for a little bit because there really wasn't anything on. There's something about being the lion.
Can you feel the love
the
tonight?
Alpha male. Yeah, that was. I did. I watched half of Lion King because it took me back to my kid's childhood watching it 7,000 times.
It's weird that you say Lion King because I've been singing Punta Cana, what a wonderful phrase. Making up my own song. And my wife said to me yesterday, if I don't stop singing it around the house, that there might not be a 2020. There might be a 2020.
Yeah.
There might be that episode that it's just because I take songs and I make up new words to them, and that's been on my mind.
Yeah,
singing along to that.
Yeah, I think I'd want to fly.
You'd want to fly.
I don't like not having.
If I was asked your question though, the animal, I'd say a dog, because I would want to say I'm dependable, I'm loyal. I can be what you need me to be. The dog's always going to be.
Think of the freedom of a non-owned pet.
That is the truth.
Animal,
but I think there's
rather.
dangers to that too.
Like a dolphin. Dolphins always look like they're having fun. The way they ride the waves and stuff like that. When we're down the shore every day, I sit there and I just watch the ocean when I'm not reading or doing something because I'm hoping to spot, some
spot a dolphin
dolphins.
or something.
Yeah, they seem friendly, but they're also there's predators after those dolphins, so that's not fun either.
I hope you have a great day. And
John, you have a good vacation.
Thank you, buddy, and thank you, Pat, and thank you, Bob. It is hopefully everybody has a wonderful day. Andrew Salchunas and Ray Dunn are coming your way next, and the best show ever comes your way at 2 today, and then more from the Combine 2 tonight. You'll get that after the best show ever, as Connor and Tom have got you covered. Support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partners, Paul B. Moyer & Sons, and make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it today at 975thefanatic.com/AACR, because cancer research saves lives. Looking forward to a little downtime, and then looking forward to some exciting times here at the Fanatic. So download that app. Be listening. Look forward to having you join us all day long. Have a great day, everybody.